Yo, what is the deal?
What's happening? What's happening?
Yes,
We
sir.
back for
Yes,
another Saturday morning, man. Y'all already know what time it is, man. Make sure you guys hitting on them buttons, man. Jay, you already know what time we
yes,
got.
yes, sir. All right, another edition of Good Morning Raiders. Let's go ahead and get this thing on the road for sure. Raider rundown. Appreciate you.
My God, Cheeto Linus. Appreciate you, God. Chris, protect the shield.
Good morning, brother. How you doing?
God, Raider League.
Hey, what up, Lo? What is good? What is none other than our guy? Salute Nation. What it do? What it do? Welcome.
Intro just get you in the mood, man.
It just gets you
right
pumped,
on
bro.
this Saturday morning, man.
Oh, yeah. It's like, let's get it. Let's get it. All right. Welcome to another episode of Good Morning Raiders. We are your hosts. I am Jay Raider. This is the Raider Rundown. Appreciate everyone pulling up with us in the place to be. We do have a very, very fire show to go ahead and get things underway. Make sure you guys are strapped in, get your coffee going, get your special herbs going, whatever gets your mind right
Yes,
to go
sir.
ahead and do the damn thing. Really quick, if you guys are, quick heads up too. We do have the subscriber only chat going on. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you guys click that button really quick to go ahead and subscribe on both channels and go ahead and get into the chat, get in the game. Appreciate everyone pulling up. But if you guys haven't done so already, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit the subscribe button on both channels. It really does go a long way to go ahead and support the shows. Appreciate everyone pulling up today on this very special episode. But let's go ahead and do a quick roll call before we get into it. We got to go ahead and acknowledge all of our peoples in the building that are already here. Really quick, my guy Matt, appreciate you pulling up. What to do? What to do? King's Day, what to do? He's already with the Raiders, my guy. Let me do it the right way.
Eric Raider. Yeah, I had to hit him one time. Eric Raider Haters 100, man. He was in the building early, man. So got to give him a shout out. Huey P with the Raiders too, man. Huey P with the Raiders too. He gave us a nation. This show about to be epic, man. We got to give him one of them ones, man.
Yes, sir.
There we go, man. Much love, much love. Hey, what else we got? Man, we got Ron in the building as well, man. What's going on, Ron? Appreciate you for pulling up as well, man. My opinion in the building too, man. What's going on? Appreciate everybody for being here, man. As always, man. Like my man said, tap in with the chat, tap in with the subscribe button. But let's not waste no time, man. Everybody know what they came to see, man. Let's not waste no time.
Yes, sir. Let's go ahead and get into it. Let's bring out our next guest. I don't think I need to really give the long-winded introduction, but You guys know him from the Raiders Report. You guys know him on social media. This is a man. Let me go ahead and bring out none other than the notorious Mitchell Renz.
Man,
what it do, brother? Appreciate you pulling up.
What an intro.
I was going to say the notorious Mitchell Renz. I think my favorite part of that intro was he was a man, just in case you guys didn't know already. But
man, he's a man.
Love being able to come in here, pop in, chat a little bit Raiders. I know Jay's been in my DMs for a while. I had a great time when I was on Rundown show. Shit, probably a month and a half, 2 months ago at this point.
Yeah, time flies, man.
No, dude, it's all good. I'm excited to be able to do this. Let's chop it up. I love the talking points, and once we kind of ran through everything, there's gonna be a lot to talk about today. You might even get me for a little bit longer than an hour because we got a lot of good stuff to talk about.
Yes, sir.
Man, for sure. Appreciate you pulling up for sure. But really quick, let's go ahead and, like you said, let's get into it. We got a pretty big show lined up for you guys. So let's go ahead and kick things off with, we did have a free agency signing this week. Raiders actually signed wide receiver Colin Johnson from the Bears. He is now a Raider. A lot of people might not know who he is, but this guy is a tall receiver. I think he's like 6'6", 210, somewhere around that range. I did get to see some tape on him last night. He does look pretty good. So, again, Raiders going up for those big, tall wide receivers. What do you guys feel about the signing and picking up Colin Johnson? Go ahead.
You start off, Mitch.
Mm-hmm. I get to go. Sweet. I think it's one of the things, like, you see the Raiders have clearly something in line where, they're looking for long, athletic players, I think, on both sides of the football, and that's kind of what Colin Johnson is to me. And if he makes the team, I'll be real, it's not really somebody that I think ends up making the 53-man roster. If you want to talk about a smaller name receiver that I think ends up making it, it's probably Kyle Phillips, just because of his connection with Chip Kelly. That was his first ever recruit at UCLA. Plays a little bit more of that slot role. To me, though, Colin Johnson, if he ends up making this team, if he ends up making this roster, you're literally just putting him in the game to be able to stretch the field a little bit and to really just open things up for an Ashton Genty, or if you're in the red zone, you can go up there and throw it up to him. But at the end of the day, Johnson was a fun player at Texas, wore that C on his chest. He was a captain, but really hasn't done all that much in the NFL. And I don't know what the signing is, but if you told me right now, do I think he ends up making the 53-man roster, I would say no to that.
Yeah. For me, and before I go, we got a super chat in the building, man. Appreciate LA.
What's up, Gunny?
Man, appreciate him, man. For the $2 holler, man. That's much love, man. Thank you. You said my main man, Mitch. What up, fam? Raider Nation for life. Semper Fi.
Yes,
but I'll echo what Mitch is saying, man. I'm not gonna say he's gonna make the 53. I'm not, too keen on saying that, but obviously he's fitting the profile, right? And the profile is getting more length in the room, getting bigger in the room. And I think for 2 straight years or whatever the case, anybody that's been doing Raider content creation, if you really on the roster, whether it be cornerbacks, receivers, you're like, can we get more length? Can we get bigger in this room? And I think for like 2-3 straight years, we've probably been saying that. So finally, the Raiders are doing that. We got bigger, we got more length in there, and now it looks like we can contend when we go against some of these bigger receivers on other teams and all these other things. We can finally have some more competition there. So for me, I'm like I said, like Mitch said, I think he just fits the profile. I don't know about making a 53, but 6'6", so you got to take a chance. I'll take a chance on it, that type of size.
Yeah, for sure. I think he does. Yeah, it looks like they're going after a specific profile for these wide receivers. I think you hit the nail on the coffin run. So let's see what happens with them. This might be those second chance situations where he might make the best of it, and he might be able to go ahead and possibly get on the roster right at the end of the day. There's still some time to be left before we get to that point. Obviously, there's like 4 months to go. So we'll know in due time whether or not he makes it or not. But very interesting to see that the Raiders go ahead and pursue Colin Johnson as their free agency signing this week. So are we going to see potentially more? Could be. So definitely got to go ahead and keep our eyes and ears open out there for sure. But moving on to our next topic, obviously we just got through the draft, right? And that has been the talk the last week. But this is a question that I feel that we need to go ahead and ask everyone, ask ourselves, how do we grade, what do we give this draft? Like, how do we grade it? What's the overall grade for it? Do we give it an A, B, C, D, F, right? We were talking about it a little bit backstage. Everybody in the chat, go ahead and grade it. Let us know. What do you guys feel? Like, is this an A? Is it a B draft? Is it a C draft? I'll start with you, Mitch. What do you feel? How do you grade this draft?
I think you could look at it as a multitude of ways, where if you're going to look at it as just the player of when they were picked at each pick, I'm going to give it a B+ grade. But I think when you look at an overall draft, you can't just grade like, all right, Ashton Genty to me is an A-. You can't look at it as Jack Besh is a B. To me, I look at what the Raiders did in the draft, and I would give that an A-. And I simply say that because if you're going to go out and you're going to draft a running back in Genty, who we all think is an incredible player, and I expect him to be better, than a guy like Marshawn Lynch. And I think that's, some people might think that that's saying a lot, but quite frankly, he better be better than Marshawn Lynch when you're drafting him at number 6 overall with all the other holes that we have. So in my mind, I said, okay, if we're going to go out and draft Genty, what's the next thing that we're going to do? I thought that maybe you go offensive line, since they decided to not go offensive line, but filled a really big hole at receiver in Besh. But what's one of the best things that Besh does? He's a hell of a blocker. And then you also look at a great blocker in Jacoby Myers, and the fact that you have 2 receivers that are not only willing to block in today's day and age in the NFL, but really effing good at being able to go out there and block. So you have 2 blocking receivers. You also have Brock Bowers. So they're clearly trying to build around Ashton Genty. You go out and get an extremely athletic corner then in Darian Porter, and I think that he's got an extremely high upside, former wide receiver, 6 years of college football experience, only 1 year at corner. And, Richard Sherman is the name that always gets thrown out there for Pete Carroll guys. But, Sherman also was a receiver that got converted into being a cornerback. But like some of the low key moves where if you look at the move of Dante Thornton Jr., if you were to look at just that pick, you'd probably go, I don't know if I love that value. But then you also got to think about what's the overall picture. Well, now we got a 6'5" guy that runs a 4.3 with Trey Tucker, who runs a 4.3. And you go back, you look at the Josh Jacobs years, teams were stacking the box with 8 because nobody could beat us deep. Like, I love me Jacoby Myers. And, when Devontae had his head on right, he was a great receiver. But we never had that true field stretcher. And teams just stacked the box and said, I know you can't beat me 20 yards down the field. Sure, the quarterback play that we had also wasn't great either. But to me, the Raiders had a plan. They go, we're going to be physical. We're going to draft 2 offensive linemen, so we always have great offensive line depth. Then you add some field stretchers in there. You add a hell of an athlete in Tommy Mellott, which people don't realize how great of an athlete he is. And throughout the draft, then even on defense, Tonka Hemingway, J.J. Pegues, those 2 guys are really good athletic traits guys as well, inside, outside defensive tackle. Cam Miller is going to go out there, I think, compete, make him and Aiden O'Connell a lot better. And then, even look at a guy like Cody Lindenberg, who could compete for, Tommy Eichenberg's spot. But to me, Raiders went out and they had a plan in mind. And I think that they're going to spread you out with Chip Kelly. They're going to try to play a little brand of FU football. And as soon as you think you're going to stack the box with Ashton Genty, well, then we got guys that can beat you down the field and can win a lot of one-on-one matchups. I am super excited to see what the Raiders do because they had a plan in place with Geno, and I think that we're freaking crushing it.
Yeah. And for me, I echo that. I hope we continue on that thing about Genty that you said at the beginning when you talked about Marshawn and expecting more, because I've been posing this question and I want everybody to really answer this question honestly, because and Jay probably know I've been asking what's the expectation, but we'll get into that later. As for right now, it's talking about grading the draft. For me, I gave it a solid B. It was just a solid B for me. You filled needs that we needed, of course, every need that we filled, the player that we filled it with, you can definitely tell, like you said, the plan is there, right? Like there's a concerted effort on, we're going to be physical. We're going to play that FU brand of football. You know what I mean? So regardless of how you want to come out here, you will not out physical this team. We may lose a game, but you gonna feel it a week after. So that I like that.
people won't want to play the Raiders in January.
That's what I'm saying.
February, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
look at the Detroit Lions. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the NFL is a big copycat league, and that's what the Raiders are trying to do. They're going, you know what?
Yep.
Yeah, you know, it might take a little while to get it going. We got a brand new regime, but if we figure it out and we figure it out in December, January, and fingers crossed on February, that's a brand of football that teams don't want to run into.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Because once you get into the playoffs, that's not the type of team you want to play. Not something that's going to be physical. So I really like everything. Now, if you're breaking it all down into it, like you said, it's kind of hard to break it player by player and say, I gave this one give this one a grade, gave this one a grade. But I do like where you got certain players at, right? Like when I see people talk about Jack Bash and people say like he kind of went too early or whatever, I'm like, well, we traded back twice to get Jack Bash. It's not like we took him at 37. Like we took him at 37, it's different. But you took him at 58. Yeah. So, and you got more picks. So I like that there, the back-to-back offensive lineman. I like that there because you feel one interior need, then you feel a exterior need. And that's something later down the line. So they even thinking later down the line. I like that. Defensive line picks. I really like JJ Pegues. I know people always highlight the fullback stuff, but he's nasty at his actual D-line position. Like, I don't think people are highlighting that enough. Like, he's actually a nice D-lineman. Tonka is nice. For me, I wasn't really that high on Dante Thornton because I know he was like the third receiver on Tennessee, and Tennessee's offense is gimmicky. So I'd be like, it is what it is with Dante, but I do like the speed. So if you're going to tell me you're using him as a speed threat, it is what it is, right? So I'm definitely for that. Lindenberg, I thought, went way too low. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think Lindenberg should have went in the 7th round, but like you said, this linebacker room is so thin, he'll be able to compete for time, like immediately. So at least you got that there. And I don't want to hear no complaint about Tommy Millott and Cam Miller. Like in the 6th round, bro, what are you expecting to get? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are we expecting to get? In the 6th round, you got to get somebody that you think that can develop into something. Like, nobody's expecting no starter out of no 6th round immediately, but you got to get somebody you can project to get that. And Tommy Millott can project to be that. So I don't want to hear that about anybody complaining about Tommy Millott. For me, I like that pick a lot. So yeah, I'm good. It's B for me.
Yeah, for me, it's B plus. You know, I feel that, you know, all the picks from Genty all the way down to Cody, they're pretty solid. I only have maybe one that kind of a little bit of a head scratcher, and we'll get into that in just a bit. But you're going out and getting the best running back in the class in Genty at number 6. You know, me and Run talked about it when it wasn't our number one move. At 6, we would like to go ahead and go back and trade back, get some draft capital, either 9, 12, and pick him if he would most likely still been there. But we went out and got him at 6, which is great, right? And he's supposed to go ahead and change the face of our offense, and I hope that to be true. We went out and got Jack Bash. Jack Bash has solid hands. I like that receiver. Still a tall receiver. He's not going to go ahead and bring you down the field, but he's going to go ahead and make those catches count when he needs the most. Went out and got a corner, Darian Porter, speedster, can go ahead and keep up with you down the field, 6'3", can go ahead and contest those 50-50 balls, right? We went out and pick up a couple of linemen, Caleb Rogers and Charles Grant. And we'll talk about those. I feel that that's something we still needed to address. We did need to address the O-line, and we were able to go ahead and do that. Tommy Millott, I mean, you know, the guy gives me a little bit of shades of Taysom Hill, right? Shout out to the wifey that's over here. She's a Saints fan, but that's how I give a little bit of the comparison to, right? Just a little bit. You know, Cam Miller. We forget JJ Pegues, Tonka Hemingway. You know, those guys are literally something else. A defense can do multiple roles. Right. So I up and down, I like this. I like this draft. I give it a solid B. I want to see what these guys actually do when they get to camp, when we start, inching towards preseason, about really how they're really going to go ahead and shape this team. Right. But, kind of leaning into the same topic. I mean, who do you guys feel is a standout of the draft? Who do you think is like the best pick that we went out and got?
I mean, the standout of the draft, you got to say Genty. I almost feel like we have to be like, besides Ashton Genty, who's the standout pick here? I I'll say this. The player that I'm the most excited about compared to where I was on draft night, it is Jack Besh. And I say that because I wasn't as familiar with his game. And it's just because it's not the receiver that I thought that they would go with in that round. I was looking at Jalen Noel. I was looking at Jaden Higgins. And Jordan Schultz did tell me the Raiders were really considering Jaden Higgins at 37 if he would have went there. But he ended up going off the board at 34. I think that was one of the reasons why the Raiders decided to trade back when they did. But I think Besh is going to be a player that Raider fans, I think he's so similar to Jacoby Myers. And you need players that, especially, again, at wide receiver, and Raider fans know with everything we just went through with Devontae Adams, like, sometimes you need a receiver that can be a little bit of a humble guy and say, it's all good if I only get 3 targets today, but we go out there and we win a football game. Like, Besh is going to have solid hands. Geno Smith has been the most accurate quarterback for 4 years when you look at a lot of advanced metrics. And Chip Kelly's so good at being able to spread you out, beat you down the field. Like, it's all going to be around Genty. But, even like the Caleb Rogers, Charles Grant pick, I didn't know if I loved those picks when the moment that it happened. I had round 4 grades on them. But then if you're like, you know what I really want to do? I want to be a super physical team, and I don't want to run into the injury bug like the Raiders ran into last season. And they have legit 8 to 9 offensive linemen that if a guy goes down, I'm going to have confidence in, because Rodgers can play. He played left tackle. He played left guard. He played right guard. He played right tackle. Our Chat Sports team at the Big 12 Pro Day, had the opportunity, talk to him. And he was just a big, captain guy, really good locker room dude. But I think the move with Tommy Millott, and I mean this, is just one of those moves where he's going to play special teams. I had the opportunity to interview him on the Raiders Report, and he literally told me, he's like, Tom McMahon, Montana guy, A.J. Cole, I met with him in the offseason, kicking punts to me. And I think Millott at 4.39 speed, he's a really, really good athlete. And he's not going to play quarterback all that much, but in the slot at wide receiver, I mean, Montana State just tried to figure out a way to put the ball in his hands because he is truly that athletic.
Yeah. I agree with them a lot. What you're saying right there, because for me, I think, everybody compares him to Julian Edelman, but I mean, people don't realize, a lot of people like he's more athletic than Julian Edelman. You look at the testing, it's not even really a comparison. So I'm definitely excited to see that standout pick for me. And I don't want to echo it, because at the same time, because when we first picked him, a lot of people did not like Jack Besh. I saw it like immediately, even in my group chats and all that. It was like, I don't like Jack Besh. Why did we pick him there? But me, I liked it, because I knew kind of as soon as we traded back and Higgins got taken by Houston, I think what Mitch is saying, I'm like, we probably wanted a receiver right there. It's probably what it looked like. Trey Harris was there, but Trey Harris got taken. I think didn't he get taken a pick before we picked as well to the Chargers as well? I think so. Or either that or we picked Besh instead. So it's one of the two. So if for me, when we traded back and got Besh, for me, I liked the value and I liked where we got him and I like what he brung, because he brings a certain skill set that we didn't have in that wide receiver room, right? We don't have a physical presence in there. And it's not like he's the best, he's not the biggest jump ball guy ever, but at the same time, his hands are solid. He's steady, right? So even if sometimes I do got to throw a shaky ball around that way, right? I do kind of trust him in his hands and his physicality to box out a DB and do them certain things. So we did not have that, right? And I think now that we have that, you have a difference of skill sets in the room. And now this offense is safe, right? Like I got Jacoby Myers, I got Jack Besh, I got Brock Bowers, and they're yak kings, bro. Like a lot of these, like even Besh and Bowers, like they're yak kings, bro. So if I get the ball in their hands 5 yards, they can turn that 15, 20. So really for a quarterback, bro, that's real safe, right? I throw a little drag, throw a little comeback, whatever the case, bro, they can break a tackle. I get more yards, right? So like for me, I've always been with the Jack Besh pick. I think that's going to be something where he's going to really, really show out in this offense. Starter immediately. But it's between him and the Caleb Rogers, because I think Caleb Rogers is going to compete for a guard spot immediately. I ain't gonna lie. I think he's gonna come in here and get busy on the guard. Charles Grant needs some work, but we'll talk about that later. So it's one of the two.
Yeah, for sure. For me, I mean, I think it's Dante Thornton. I like him. He's a speedster, guy 6'5", can go ahead and contest those 50-50 balls. I saw some tape on him. He looks really, really good. I think he was just maybe underutilized in Tennessee. But let's see what happens here. He definitely is going to go ahead and give Trey Tucker a run for his money, right? That he has the advantage already, having that height. The speed is definitely there. I think the other guy too is Darren Porter. Darren Porter is another one. I was very excited when that move happened. When I heard that name, and we looked at his measurables. Guys, again, another 6'3", 4'3", 40 speed. So he can go ahead and keep up with you down the sideline and be able to go ahead and defend those 50-50 balls as well. So, I think Darren Porter has the ability to be a day one starter. I don't know if he's going to be potentially CB1, but could be. I mean, it just depends on how Jacorian Bennett does, and that's his position to lose. That's what I feel. But I think those two guys are probably the standout of the draft.
Okay, yeah, definitely. Porter, I don't know about CB1 immediately, but for me, I like him better than Cameron Richardson already. I'll tell you that. That's just me.
Yeah, I think if Cameron Richardson wasn't as long and as athletic as what he was, I think a lot of us would sit here and go, all right, they brought in Stokes, you got Darian Porter. But again, this is what Pete Carroll has done throughout his entire career.
Right.
He's like, we're going to go out, we're going to get super long athletic guys. And, if you're trying to play press man, but I think it also works really well when you have a great defensive line, because when you're able to win with 4, maybe 5 guys, and then you got super long athletic corners, it just makes life really difficult on a quarterback, because if you're able to get pressure on a guy with 2 seconds, my biggest concern with our defense right now is free safety, linebacker. I'm worried about us getting beat deep, because I don't know if we have a true free safety. But I'm telling you this right now, the first 10, 15, 20 yards of our defense, it's going to be good. Right now, I think teams could potentially beat us still off the top. But when you have a great defensive line and you can get pressure, you can get away with the type of defense that we have. But you got to be great on the defensive line, which I do think we are, but we got to be even better.
Yeah, definitely. I echo that with the secondary, but we'll get into that for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I know.
And then so obviously we were talking about who's a standout pick of the draft. What do you guys say would be the head scratcher move of the draft, like that one pick that just kind of what the fuck? Was there any guys in this draft that kind of made you feel that way?
I mean, at the moment, I wasn't as high on Caleb Rogers, just because it was somebody that I thought could go in the 4th or 5th round. But then again, you look at what the plan I think is. You look at a guy like Dylan Parham. He's in the final year of his contract, and if they don't plan on bringing him back, you have a offensive lineman that can play 4 different positions. And even if he is your 6th man, right? Even if he is the 6th man his entire career, that it's an extremely important role on an offensive line to know that at any moment you lose a guy, Caleb Rogers is going to be able to go in there and do his thing. The way that I would give a comp to him is kind of like a Jermaine Illuminor, where if he keeps working and working, I do think he can get better and better and better. And he could be an average to above average offensive lineman. But if we're talking basketball with the playoffs, everything right now, having a good 6th man being able to come off the bench is monumental for deep playoff runs. And I think a player like Caleb Rogers is the way, I would talk about a Jordan Meredith type, where I don't know if I want to see him as a starter now, but if he goes in, you're not going to be like, shit, he's in the game. We have 8 legit offensive linemen. I don't think we have a top 10 O-line, but in terms of depth, we might have a top 10 offensive line in terms of depth.
Yeah, definitely. For me, I think the head scratcher for me is it's more Thornton for me. Now, it's not, it's not for this. I know what he brings, right? The speed, the length, of course. So it's okay, I get that. But it's just it's the offense, right? It's the offense for me, and what he's coming into and what he has to learn. Now, if you're telling me that he's going to come in and do the same 3 routes that he did in Tennessee, sure, right? That's cool. But of course, Raider fans, we expect more than that, right? We expect more than just coming in here, running a goal, a slant, or a curl. That's not going to get it done. We need more, right? So
I got a question.
Yeah.
I got a question. Would you say this is a successful year, though, because this is how honestly I would use, like, how I think of Dante Thornton this year, where if he has 20 catches, let's say, whatever the amount of yards, but Ashton Genty has 1,200 rushing yards? Or would you rather, like, if Genty goes out there and puts up 1,500 rushing yards and Thornton doesn't have nearly as much productivity, but when Thornton's in the game, if Genty's averaging normally, let's say 4.5, but when Thornton's out there, he's getting 5.0. Like, that to me is worth, like, that's how I'm going to look at this year with Dante Thornton Jr. Because to me, I'm not really going to look at, yes, you're going to look at receptions, yards per catch, touchdowns, all that's important. But if you tell me right now at the end of the year, I look at it and Ashton Genty's numbers are significantly better or better with Dante Thornton on the field, I'm going to go, that was a good pick, because that's that pick to me. The pick to me is it's more important what Genty does. Do you feel that exact same way, or you're like, Thornton's got to put up this amount of yards, this amount of catches? Like, I don't even know if I'm all that worried about his numbers. I'm more worried about Genty's numbers for Thornton.
For me, I don't care about his numbers, honestly. Like, I don't, because I know, like, what he was brought in here to do. He's not brought in here. Like, some people will talk about that Randy Moss comp. Whoever said that, like, no, that's not what we're talking about. Like, he's coming in here to be basically a big field stretcher. So I understand that point. But another thing that scares me is that he has a nasty drop rate for only having 26 catches. Like, his drop rate was kind of nasty. So for me, like, if you're going to be the field stretcher, which is important, right? Like, we kind of need that in this offense 100%, because it's just Trey Tucker. You're going to need to be secure with your hands, right? So that's just my only thing. Now, I'm not going to say it was a what the fuck move. Like, I was mad that we got him. Yeah. It was just more of like, if you had to ask me what was the only pick in this draft that made me be like, you know what I mean? Like, that's probably the one that made me just be like, that's it.
Yeah, maybe Tonka Hemingway.
Yeah, I feel that. But I don't know. I might be tripping, but I saw a little bit of Adam Butler, man. I saw a little bit. I can see what they saw right there. Right? Yeah, I can see what they saw.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for me, I think it'd probably be Charles Grant. My head scratcher move. I don't know if I would pick them that high, especially the amount of.
I didn't want to say that.
I'll say it, bro. Especially with the amount of work that has to be done. I mean, looking at the tape, and you guys go out there, look at his tape, right? That's all I got to say. There's some questionable blocking. You know, the way he does it. Shout out to my guy 805. I saw their film of what they broke down on Charles Grant, and it kind of made me think, like, really, like, we picked this guy in the late third round. I mean, we could have went out and got somebody better. We could have got a linebacker. We could have waited till the late sixth to go ahead and get this guy. Just looking at the way he is, but I mean, obviously,
I like Charles Grant.
I think this is the depth.
I was waiting.
We still need it. I'm not saying that
right here. I was waiting to get into the Charles Grant debate, bro. I really was.
Yeah, I like Charles Grant. I think I would look at Charles Grant as, a lot of times we always talk about bridge quarterbacks, right? If I was somebody with what the Raiders have, to me, Charles Grant is a good outside tackle prospect. And again, he dominated at lower levels of competition, no doubt about it. But I think he's really good in a zone blocking scheme. And I think with what Chip Kelly offers, he's, that's what he's going to bring, zone blocking. So, like, do I want Charles Grant out there now? No, not necessarily. But I want a player that I believe is coachable and can get better and better and better. And when you look at Charles Grant, like, he is somebody to me that has been able to show that he can get better. There's always a weird adjustment period, I would say, for players that are playing at a William and Grant level, and then you're instantly getting ready to go into the NFL, no doubt about it. But he's got great length, 7-foot wingspan, which you love to see. I think that the athletic ability does show up on tape at times. But this, to me, is not somebody where you're like, he's got to develop. He's got another year or two to develop. But we had a round 4 grade on him, and if that was the player that the Raiders wanted, based on a source that we had from the San Francisco 49ers, I don't remember who they ended up picking right after the Raiders, but it was reported that they were looking at both Charles Grant and Caleb Rogers. And when the Raiders took both of those guys at 98 and 99, they panicked a little bit. And I don't remember which player they reached on after the Raiders, but it ended up coming out being reported that the 49ers were like, shit, the Raiders just took both of the guys. We thought we were going to be able to get at least one of them. So it's like, well, F you to the 49ers was nice. But I hear you, like, And again, I think we got to look at what do we need right now? What do we need in the future? And, for a guy like Colton Miller, who, I was just talking to Miller last weekend, it sounds like he's going to get that contract extension done. But I think they're kind of looking at Charles Grant as being a potential replacement in 2 to 3 years down the road. And, it's a high upside. I think that Charles Grant does have some high upside.
For me, as soon as we got him, I said, we need to re-sign Colton for 2 years immediately. Like as soon as we got it, and that's not saying like he's a bad prospect, but that just lets me know, like that should tell you what I thought. I'm like, yeah, bro, like no, he needs time, right? That's not saying he's bad, but he needs time.
Colton Miller
we have
conversation.
Time. Yeah, we have time.
We got to get this done.
That was asinine for some people, bro. They was over there talking about we can trade this man now and all. Like, no, bro. Like, I don't know what people were thinking with that. Like, tone that down. We got to get Colton back up in the building. Let him do it so that way we can give Charles Grant the time that he needs to become what most people are projecting him to be, right? Because most people are projecting him like, I see some people in here, he's a top 50 prospect. So you expect him to at some point be a franchise left tackle. But for me, just breaking it down, I'm just saying like there's technique that needs to be learned, of course, because he's coming from William and Mary. There's strength that needs to be added, of course, because he's coming from a lower level. But this is all things that we know can be added with years of work. I would like to see him become a swing tackle. If we tell me that it's going to take 2 years or 3 years for him to start, I would like to see him become the swing tackle in at least next year. You feel what I'm saying? Become a swing, get in there, get your reps, right? If somebody does go down. So at that point, when you do go in there, we slot you in and it's not shell shock, right? We're like, oh my God, like this is the first time starting. So I'd like to see him become a swing tackle first, but I think it can happen. I think Thayer Mumford probably should be sweating a little bit if it was me. But other than that, I do like it for that aspect, for sure that aspect.
Yeah, I think this is a move that we needed to make. Just with him, I feel like we could have waited a little bit, but if that's what what you're saying is true, Mitch, where you had potentially the Niners ready to go ahead and pick him. I mean, and they literally changed their whole way of drafting. Then
I forget who the Niners drafted.
Why are people so ready to get rid of DJ Glaze? What is this, man? I don't understand the DJ Glaze hate all of a sudden. Can we just see how he progresses first? Like if he don't progress, then fine. Like we can do that. But as of right now, I'm fine with DJ. I don't know why people are trying to do this.
Yeah, he had a solid year. I liked his performance. I mean, if you want to compare, like there's questionable guys from last year that are still on the team that you could be like, well, like why are they still here, right? And
guard.
One of the guard exactly.
Guard. Right now, guard.
Exactly.
That's one.
Like those are the people that we need to be talking about. Yeah, those are the people that we need to be talking about, not Glaze. I mean, Glaze, I feel that he's only going to get better, right? We just need to give him that time, and I think we're going to see even a better version of him come, this year in year 2. So, I think the whole Glaze and shifting him around, I think he's good where he's at. Let him do his thing. Let him progress. Let him, he'll become better. He'll become better.
Yeah,
sure.
Yep. And that's what this regime wants. And every single draft pick, every single free agent signing, they want you to go out there and they want you to compete. And I think Charles Grant and Caleb Rogers tells Jordan Meredith, Dylan Parham, Alex Kappa, DJ Glaze, Thayer Munford, hey, we're coming for your job. So let's go out there and let's do everything that we possibly can, which might motivate these offensive linemen to go out there and do a little bit better because, there was, I think the debate for the Raiders was Armin Membu, Kelvin Banks, or Ashton Genty based on some of the people that I talked to. A lot of Jalen Walker obviously thrown in that as well. But I think for the Raiders, and they were like, all right, if we're not going to take an offensive lineman and we're going to go get Genty, we're going to add 2 offensive linemen that are going to add a lot of competition to this offensive line group and hopefully make the entire unit as one unit overall better. And I think that was the plan.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. But let's go ahead and get into our next segment. And this is something that me and Ren kind of worked on a little bit, and we're finally going to go ahead and unveil it. We're going to go ahead and jump into our next segment, Hate It or Love It. Now, what do we mean by hate it or love it? We're going to go ahead and pick some pictures, and then we're going to either hate it or love it. Simple as that. And everybody in the chat, salute to everybody who's tapped in. We have over 100 people in the building. We just so you guys know, make sure we are on subscriber only, so make sure you guys go ahead and hit that subscribe button to be part of the chat. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything. Just go ahead and click on that. But we're going to go ahead and play a little game called Hate It or Love It, right? So we're going to go through the draft picks. We're going to either hate it or love it, and then why, right? So let's go ahead and get into it. We'll do our first one. Ashton Genty, hate it or love it?
I don't know if this is an H, but that kind of looks like an H. No, I'm just kidding. I love it. I don't know how, as a Raider fan, you don't love it. I wanted, if it was up to me, I would have taken Armin Membu, but I literally think they went with the best player on the board. A truly, the term generational gets thrown out way too often, but I really only think that there were 3 generational prospects in this year's draft: Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, and Ashton Genty, and we got one of them. So to me, that's a win. Plus, we were able to trade back and made it even better. So I love it.
Yeah. Love it. And I love it more. If he gets me at least 1,500 all purpose, that I'm gonna love it even more. And that's my minimum. You know what I mean? I can't see nothing less than that. 1,500 all purpose for a back like him should be light work. You know what I mean? 6 overall pick, top 10, bro. That's nothing. You know what I mean? You should get that in your sleep. So after that, bro, like I think he's that talented, like for sure. And a lot of people talking about his running, but the receiving aspect that I saw in 2023 should be at the forefront when he comes here. So I'm already giving him slotted in 300 receiving yards off the rip. I'm already that's easy money for me. So give me 1,200 rushing, we there. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna love it even more. I think he's gonna change the aspect of how teams play us, of course. Like, we saw it with Josh when we had Josh Jacobs, how teams used to try to defend us. When we had some resemblance of a deep game, like that year with Josh I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say, but when we had some resemblance of a deep game, right, with Devontae that first year, you saw it, right? Like it was some back and forth. So we can get back to that, right? Get back to that little back and forth. We're gonna be real dangerous to defend. So yeah, love it for sure.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, again, we went out and got the best running back in the class. Hopefully the title generational holds true and is as advertised, right? He's going to go ahead and change our offense, change the face of our offense completely. When Run is saying 1,500 yards minimum, what that really breaks down to like 85 yards per game, which should be light work for this guy, when he's been doing so much at Boise, right? So hopefully we do get to see that 1,500 plus yards, even if it's 1,200, that literally breaks out to like 7 yards per game, right? Definitely very obtainable. I just like to see that our run game improves, and I feel like this guy is going to be basically the answer to that. Right. Mm-hmm. So let's move on to our next guy. There we go. All right. Jack Bash, hate it or love it?
If I can only pick between hate it or love it, you guys are probably going to get a lot of loves, but I love this one too. Somebody who works 71% of the time outside also gives you a little bit of slot flexibility. And I think sometimes the NFL can be a copycat league where, Jacoby Myers, Jack Besh, Brock Bowers, all 3 of those players can all run the exact same routes, which means that you can line up all 3 of those guys at all 3 different positions. And whether you want to go 3 wide or whether you're technically going 2 wide, 2 tight end set, I think the Jack Besh pick is going to be another one of those sneaky picks that Raider fans at the end of the year, you're like, wow, I can't believe this guy had 40 catches, 600 yards, and 5 touchdowns, which might not sound like a lot, but when you look at everything else that we're going to add to that pie, I think Besh is going to be a good player. I love it.
Yeah. And that sounds like a good stat line too, because you got Brock, you got Jacoby, you got Genty. So if he ends up getting close to 1,000 yards, and at that point, Geno's dealing. Like we out there doing something stupid. But real quick before I answer this, man, my opinion, whoever said slow down off of this, bro, you tell them to speed up. Ain't no way that we should not expect these numbers, bro. 1,200 yards and 12 TDs. Yes. Yeah. I think he should be able to get that from Genty. As far as Besh, love it. Like I've been saying, he brings what we need, man. I mean, we needed that physicality in the room, needed that size, right? That kind of bully in the room now. So for me, man, I definitely love it, man. The mentality, not only the skill set, but the mentality of it, right? I mean, you get the ball in my hands, bro. No DB, unless you Jalen Ramsey size or Pat Surtain size, you're not really gonna want to continue to bang with a dude like this all
He's
game,
gonna run
right?
through your face. He's
You're not
going
to do that. You're not going to do that.
Like we're going to be playing Raider freaking football, and
Yep.
I think it's old school Raider football, and like that's going to be the thing. And he also lost his brother Tiger in that horrible, horrific thing that happened on New Year. And I'll always say this: when you can find a kid that's got just that 1% extra of the motivation, when all these other players, let's face it, everybody in the NFL is super talented, everybody's an athletic freak. But what's going to be that 1%? Max Crosby always talks about that 1%. What gets you to wake up every morning? What gets you to go out there and do something a little bit different? And I'm telling you, listen to Jack Besh. He gives me chills because he's got that mentality right now where he goes, you know what? I'm going to give you that extra 1% every single day because that extra 1% is my brother Tiger looking down. And it fires me up. Like Besh I think is going to be a dog. I really do.
Me too.
Oh, yeah, definitely 100%. Yeah, I love Bash. I love this pick. He's gonna be our Mr. Dependable guy. Has great hands. Could go ahead and make those tough catches that normally you wouldn't be able to go ahead and make. Right? He's gonna definitely. You see Brock Bowers doing these great catches. Bash is gonna be right alongside him. Right? And I feel that this guy is coming in with a chip on his shoulder. And he, like you said, Mitch, he's a lunch pail guy. He's going to come in, clock in, do work, can give you all he has and even more, and then clock out, go home, and that's all you want from these guys. So I think this is a great pick, and I definitely go ahead. I can't wait to see what he does for sure. I can't wait to see him on
He's just a football player.
Yeah.
He's just a great, like Brock Bowers, football player. Jack Besh, football player.
That's what we need. I mean, and now it's identity, man. It's identity now. I love it.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Let's go ahead and move on to our next guy. This is our third round pick, Darren Porter. How do you guys? What do you guys feel about him? Love him or hate him?
This actually was, I believe, my highest draft grade that I gave out was on Porter, and I literally told people, I go, I bet you if you were to ask Raider fans, if the draft would have went Ashton Genty, Darian Porter, Jack Besh, people would like the draft more based on value because I had Porter as somebody that I thought could go up a little bit higher. But overall, background as a wide receiver, a lot of boom or bust potential. I'm not going to lie to you, but I will bet on the boom because Pete Carroll has always done a great job with these long, lanky corners. And I would kind of, compare it to, I don't want to say Caleb Von Chasen, but Caleb Von Chasen is just the one that always pops in my mind where he was a great athlete, but because we have somebody like Rob Leonard, who's always done a great job with defensive linemen, it's why you buy into that a little bit more. And I think for somebody like Porter, he has that. But 970 special team snaps, which at least offers you a little bit of flexibility there, allowed. So here's probably my favorite stat on Porter, was targeted 17 times last season. 17 times, gave up 5 catches. But teams just didn't throw near him, and he didn't have a lot of tackles, only 18 tackles. But if you're thinking about an entire college football season and only targeted 17 times, and you gave up 5 catches, I think that speaks volumes of how much teams respected Darian Porter because of the athlete that he is. And the Tariq Woolen comp is easy to see. Tariq Woolen was drafted by Pete Carroll. I think that we have legit a unbelievable athlete, somebody who scored a 9.99 on the RAS score. So he is literally in the 99th percentile of athletic freaks. And it's it's high upside, man. And when you have high upside players, you need to have competition. And DeCamerion Richardson, Eric Stokes, Jacorian Bennett are all 4 of those guys going to be fighting and clawing for their job. I still think we need a nickel corner. I'm not going to lie to you, but our 100%. Outside corners, a lot of upside there. Love it.
I definitely.
I don't know if I said that.
I definitely love this pick. For me, like you said, if you're gonna bet on anybody getting the traits out of somebody who is basically clay at this point, right? Like wet clay and needs to be molded, You got Pete Carroll is the guy right now. You pretty much look at the whole secondary though. Like the whole secondary is huge. Everybody's over 6'2", damn near, right? Or just about 6'2", 6'3". Everybody runs fast times, right? So it's like you see that there is again a type, a profile. And same thing with like Mitch said, Reek Woolen when he came out. Now, Reek Woolen when he came out, what was he, like a 6th-round pick or something like that? So nobody really was looking at Reek Woolen crazy when he came out. I don't think he was he's like a 5th round. I think Tariq Woolen wasn't a high round. What was he?
I thought he went in the
Woolen
3rd.
wasn't no high round.
He went in the 5th.
He went in the 5th?
He went in the 5th.
That's what I thought. So he wasn't no high round draft pick, so people weren't looking at Tariq Woolen like that. But again, he had the size, he had the traits that Porter had, right? And then so this is the thing. I think even so, Darian Porter is a little more fluid, right? He's a little more fluid than Woolen is. There's some plays, man. I think even if you just watch the highlights, there's some plays, dog, where he turns his hip so quick and gets back to the receiver right before the quarterback even has the time to really locate where he is. I think there's one play, I don't know if it was Iowa, where he comes back off, where he comes down, he comes back off the ball and snaps back and gets a pick, dog. Like that right there is nasty work.
He catches like a receiver.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. And
he runs routes with
like a receiver too, right? Like I love, and I always say this, I love when corners, instead of if the receiver's here and they look back here, they look inside like a receiver. Because at the end of the day, like that's what you're supposed to do, bro. That's where the ball is. So for me, I love that. So love it.
Yeah, I love it too. I mean, you gotta this has Pete Carroll's name all over it for sure. Big receiver, speedster, physical. This guy used to be a former wide receiver. I don't know if anybody knows, but he used to be a former wide receiver. So that's why he gives them a little bit of insight as far as how routes are being run, right? I think this is a thing that kind of stands out. He plays special teams, right? And so you get even more value for your buck. So I definitely love this pick. Like I said, I feel he could potentially, maybe be a day 1 starter. Who knows, right? But I definitely I love this pick. Let's go on and move on to our next one. And where's my guy at? I thought I had the picture of him. I do. Here we go. Caleb Rogers. Love it or hate it.
I mean, this is the lowest grade that I gave out in my draft grades, but I don't hate the pick, right? Like, I would say
based on the segment, I guess you'd have to say it, but I understand what you're saying. I definitely understand.
I guess based on the segment, sure, let's
based
do it.
On the segment.
Okay. Based on the segment, then I'm a man that likes a good segment. I'll go hate it, and I only because it was a little bit earlier than where I would have taken him. I have Charles Grant ranked as a higher offensive lineman, but he's a captain, over 4,200, total snaps at Texas Tech, which there's a lot of good there. High effort player. I just don't really see the upside, quite frankly. 25 career penalties, and I think sometimes like that happens when players maybe aren't as locked in or think that they're not as athletically gifted as some of the players that they're kind of going up against. But I mean, a lot of offensive guard snaps. I actually have written down 4,333 career, though tested much better than what I anticipated, the 9.03 on the RAS score. But does offer you a lot of versatility. Our guy at Chat Sports, his name's Tom Downey. He does a stupid amount of homework, and he's got a round 4 grade on him. So maybe I shouldn't hate it as much.
Yeah. For me, this is like immediately he was actually one of my more favorite picks out of the offensive linemen. And that's not saying I don't like Charles Grant, but I think he has the opportunity to play earlier than Charles Grant. I think, honestly, for me personally, I think he's going to compete at that right guard spot. Just based off what Pete said immediately after drafting him too, when there wasn't even no question when they asked him, what is he going to play? He's like, he's playing inside. Immediately didn't even give no question of what is he going to do outside? He's playing inside. So for me, that immediately let me know they like Meredith. I know they like Meredith, and I know a lot of us like Meredith. The question is on this other guard spot. So for me, it would be, okay, either he's going to compete to see if he starts here at right guard, or like, Mitch has been saying all along, is now depth. Now you got the swing at the guard too, right? Where now if somebody goes down at guard, you can feel comfortable for Caleb Rogers sliding in there doing that. I mean, I think he's done every position except center. He's played every position except center, which is very, very valuable. So I can definitely use that in any given capacity, regardless of, somebody goes down on the left side, right side. I'm good with that. So for me, I love it. I just think he can come in here and play at that guard spot, man. And he gives us more size, right? Like if he's above Parham, to me, I think he'll give us a little bit more size than what we've been looking for. And I don't think he's gonna get pushed back as easy as Parham being. But that's just me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that I love it. I think he's a guy who can play different positions. He can play right, left, inside. He can even play right tackle. I mean, that's just for depth, right? But for really where I feel his strength is going to be is on the inside. I think that right tackle position is going to definitely give a run for his money, right? Is going to this literally he's brought in to go ahead and bring that competition into play. So I love it. I feel that we needed that. We need to have that competition. You never know, this guy may be able to go ahead and beat a few guys in there. Parham being one of them.
Just to back up the point real quick too. I mean, Parham is 6'3", 284. I mean, Caleb Rogers is 6'5", 312. So already is like, if he was to slot him in at the guard, we already bigger, right? And I think that's something that we need to get in there too.
Yeah, and the guy has like 4,000 snaps under his belt. So
like Mitch said, it's nasty.
Yeah, he's nasty. So for sure. Let's go ahead and move into our other third round pick, and we were just talking about him earlier. Charles Grant of William and Mary. I think he was a 99th pick for us. Love it or hate it?
I'm going to go love it here on this one. Only 23 years old. I think he's a good fit for what Chip Kelly wants in that zone blocking scheme. Mainly outside, offensive tackle. Don't really think he's got that guard potential. Does have a really long wingspan, but 7-foot long wingspan. Captain on his chest. I like him, like I said, a little bit more than Caleb Rogers, but I agree that I think I'd have more confidence in Rogers playing now. But the upside to me with somebody like, Charles Grant, 90 overall PFF grade, think he can be somebody down the line where we go, oh, like that's an offensive lineman that we were able to groom into being a solid starter.
Right. And I agree with the sentiment about him playing inside. Like I know he probably could, but I think I like his length a lot on the outside. So I'd like to see him go outside. For me, I'll ruffle some feathers, bro. This will be my first hated, right? This will be my first hated. Just based sympathy on the segment. But for me, right, you can tell. I think it was somewhere that he's only been playing tackle for like 2 years or something like that. There's a little bit of clumsiness sometimes when you watch him. There's a little bit of clumsiness. He's got to learn how to
tackle all 3 years.
He's played tackle all 3 years. I don't know why I heard somebody say he's only played tackle when he got here or something like that, or he wasn't playing tackle before college or some shit like that.
Maybe,
but that
3 straight years though.
Yeah, that must have been somebody else. But either way though, for me, I just think there's a lot of work that needs to be done. There's refinement that needs to be done. There's technique that needs. Like he has to learn how to get his hands more consistently on the inside. Learn how to strike better. He's good with his feet already. So I think what Mitch is saying, him coming in with the Chip Kelly scheme, they're going to take advantage of him moving and him being athletic and be able to and being as quick as he is. That's easy money. But when he follows it up with the power and the strength, bro, that right there is what's going to turn him into that prospect that everybody's talking about. So I just for the segment, hate it, but I don't actually hate the pick though.
Yeah, same. I feel the same. I hate it. I don't hate the pick in general. It's just where he was picked at was in my first ideal choice. I would have waited longer to go ahead and pick up this guy. But I mean, like Mitch says, he's great at zone blocking. I feel that's probably going to be one of his strong suits. He does need some more work. So if you see the tape, and look at some of the blocks he's done, you kind of scratching your head at times, right? But
I know exactly what you're talking about, Jay.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
There's one play, bro, where like it's just circling around where he's pulling and he's supposed to really clear out the blocker, man, on a pull, and he really just puts a soft shoulder into him. So I understand what you're talking about. Because you're like, with William and Mary, you expect him to kill the dude right at the end.
Was it a run play or a pass play?
It's a run play. I believe it's a run play. He's pulling out to the he's pulling out to the end. It's just him and the DN. And you like, all right, bro, kill him. You know what I mean? And it's soft. You know what I mean? So it's not what you expected. I get it, but
I think he's really good in the run game. I think because of how often William and Mary ran, I think that's one of the reasons why the Raiders did it. They're like, all right, we're going to run the football a shit ton with Ashton Genty. This guy has shown on tape that he's a good run blocker. Pass blocking is where he's just got to add a little bit more strength and weight. And I'll always say, one of the things that we don't really think about is the strength conditioning. And let's just be real, the overall what is available to him at William and Mary compared to what would be available to him at a big school. And now he's going to be able to go to the Las Vegas Raiders. I think that he's a player where he's going to add 10 pounds of legit muscle, which is not as easy for offensive linemen, especially at this age. But just based on some of these smaller school guys, it always amazes me if they go in there with the right mindset, how quickly they can put on good weight. But, that's going to be more up to him.
And I think that's why everybody says, or like probably we say, it's going to take a year, because usually for rookies, it takes until you get into your first full off season to understand how to work, how to put on the weight, where to go to put on the weight. So that's probably why I personally say it's going to take a year, because it's probably going to take him a year to understand that. But once he gets that, I don't really have much concern after that, because he's going to be with really good coaches and assistant coaches. So I'm not really tripping about him learning what he needs to do.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go ahead and move on to our next guy, Dante Thornton. And we touched base on it a little bit earlier. I for one, love this pick. Tall receiver, 6'5", speedster, runs a 4.3, so he can zip down the field. Field stretcher, so he's definitely going to go ahead and give Trey Tucker a run for his money. How do you feel?
Yeah, Trey better be sweating, with the Dante Thornton and Tommy Malott. Like, I'm telling you right now, he better be sweating. But you're talking about a player with 21.9 yards per catch in his career. When you talk about athletically, right, just pure athleticism, the only receivers that are actually Calvin Johnson is the closest comp to Dante Thornton Jr. just based on 6'5", 430. Though I think he plays a little bit more like a Marcus Valdes-Scantling, or kind of along like a DJ Chark. I would say probably be a little bit more of a realistic comp, right? Because if you're looking at athletes, he does comp to these just incredible players, but honestly, he doesn't have all that much yards after the catch. He's only forced 2 missed tackles in college, but really good young man. I had the opportunity to talk to him. I'm going to actually interview him on Tuesday. If anybody's watching, I'll pull up to the Raiders Report. We're going to have him on the show. But I love this pick because he is brought in to be that player to make Ashton Genty better, right? If I'm looking at just the player at the value in the 4th round, I think the Raiders took him a little bit too early. He's really just an outside receiver, doesn't offer you really, I would say, anything in terms of special teams. But if there's one player that made Al Davis smile this year, I guarantee it's Dante Thornton Jr. I love what he offers. Love what he offers to the offense. How about that?
Yeah. I guess I'll follow it up. This would be my second, based on the segment, second hated pick, I guess. For me, I again, based on the field stretcher, yes. You know what I mean? He's going to do what he's supposed to do. Stretch the field. I still have a little faith in Trey for me. I just think Trey's been done dirty since he's been drafted. That's just my opinion. I think ever since he's been drafted, there's been a carousel of receivers that have not been able to really utilize the skill set.
And quarterback.
At all. You know what I mean? We can't get the ball downfield, and that's what he was drafted to do, get the ball downfield, stretch the field. And we ain't been able to get it to him, regardless of whatever shape, form, or fashion. So now, I mean, I like it to the I like it to the point where you can say, like, we can have them both on the field. Like, if you can tell me we can have him and Trey on the field, maybe on the same side or whatever the case, I like that, right? Because now you have the size, but you still maintain the speed and all that. So that's good. But again, his drop rate is what scares me. That's honestly what gets me, because you cannot be a deep threat for a squad because and be a person that's going to drop the ball. You know what I mean? Like, because you don't know when the deep threat gonna come. What if we need that in the fourth?
How many
drops?
How many drops did he have this year, do you think? Because I have the number. So Thornton career 9.7% drop rate.
Wow.
Damn, okay. But he had 26 catches this year. I know he had 26 catches this year.
26 catches, 2 drops this year. And I hear you. He's really just a vertical threat. But I agree with you on Trey Tucker, where he's been given a shitty hand, no doubt about it. But, like, I do think that he can still fit exactly with what Chip Kelly does, where, again, let's spread you out. Let's get him on some motions and put the ball in his belly, because even though he's a small receiver, Trey Tucker, when he was in high school, was pound for pound one of actually the best Ohio wrestlers in high school. Yeah. And I think that that's one of those things where, you know, growing up as a kid, I was always told, you know, you don't mess with farmers, you don't mess with wrestlers. But, like, you can kind of see sometimes the way JPJ mauls guys at center, you can tell he's got that wrestler background. And I do think Trey Tucker, because we're a physical team, he wouldn't be somebody that I would trade away. He's somebody that I want to utilize more. But you can't tell me if you're Trey Tucker, you're sitting there going right now like, shit, man, they drafted 3 receivers. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I'm sweating.
That's got to be a tough one.
For sure. I think this is now I ain't gonna lie, this is a put up or shut up year. I will say that this is a put up or shut up year for him. He has to produce. If he's kept in some way, shape, or form, he has to produce. Now you said something where I think is really prevalent, where it's like, you can use Trey in a different kind of way than you can use Thornton, where, like you said, you can get Trey on some of these jet sweeps, get him on some of these, you know, more inside handoffs. He can take some of those, where I don't think Thornton, you'll really use him that way. You want to use him more in space and all that extra. I will say, hey, Jay, it's crazy how people grow up. My man Mitch said he had to watch out for farmers and wrestlers. Shit, over here, they said if you wear red or blue, watch out.
Yep. Dude, watch out.
Watch out. It's over.
I've known that for a child, bro.
Yeah, we're from very different parts of the we're from very different parts.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go ahead and move on to our next guy. Tonka Hemingway. Tonka Hemingway. Like the truck.
At first, I didn't even like this pick, which is crazy. At first, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I think honestly it depends who you talk to, because I've seen some people say, oh, this is a guy that should have been drafted in, you know, the 6th or 7th round. I've talked to some other people that are like, honestly, I thought he was a 3rd and 4th round pick. And I think that this is just going to be one of those players where, depending on what type of defense that you run and depending on what type of player you're trying to develop, is going to be very different. But, you know, Rundown said it earlier. He kind of was like, oh, I see a little Adam Butler in him. And that's kind of what the hope, I would say, would be for the Raiders. You know, a little bit of an undersized defensive tackle, 6'2", about 285. But he's got a lot of game experience. You know, we're talking about, I'm doing the math, 48 games played over the past 3 years. Pretty awesome there. Turns 24 in October. But he is this hybrid of a player of, like, do we line him inside? Do we line him outside? But I think that that's kind of like what the Raiders want to do. And I actually think Tonka Hemingway is going to be a player that's going to, you know, be that next potential Adam Butler, but also light the fire underneath Tyree Wilson, because I know Wilson is edge, but he's also been used as a defensive tackle from time to time. He's had 7 pass breakups in 2023, but a lot of snaps played, over 2,000 snaps. I see tested okay at defensive tackle, you know, 9.46 RAS score. So we're talking about DTs coming out in the 94th percentile. Like, that was the one thing that I came away with from the Raiders, is they're like, you know what? We're going to go out. We're going to try to find really good freaking athletes, and we're going to put them on our football team because we believe in our coaching staff. And like that, like, I love this pick because I love Rob Leonard, and I trust Rob Leonard to work with every single defensive lineman. Yeah. If you were to just tell me just Tonka Hemingway in round 4, I would say I would hate it. But, like, you have to – there's just certain coaches in the NFL, you have to be able to just give them their love. You got to be able to trust Pete Carroll with corners, and you got to be able to trust Rob Leonard and Patrick Graham with defensive linemen. So for that reason, I love this pick.
Yeah, Yeah. If you would have asked me before, like immediately when we picked him, I would have said hate it. But now, after watching him more, just going through him.
Does have a lot of missed tackles, though. I mean, he had 23% missed tackle rate last season.
Got to shore that up.
Pretty high.
Yeah,
pretty high for a DT.
Luckily, it's not like we're taking him where he's got to be the guy. So I've said that about a lot of DTs. Wherever we would have drafted a DT in this draft, I'm like, we're not drafting him to be the dude immediately. Now I said it earlier. I see a lot of Adam Butler in the game. I do, bro, and I kind of even take the Colton Miller argument to the D line sometimes because we got to remember too, like Adam Butler is either 30 or he's about to be 30. It's one of the two, right? Like he's 30, and the contract that he got wasn't particularly large. So I'm not going to say I love that.
3 for 16.5.
Right. Like, so that's not particularly a large contract. So you're looking at that and you're saying, okay, I'd like to go ahead and say, let's get younger. Let's get young dudes in the room. Let's get some guys where as our starters become older, these younger dudes will start to produce and then eventually mold in and take that spot. So for me, I can see him learning under Adam Butler, growing under Adam Butler, and then when it's time, right, he then becomes that. That's what I can definitely see as it goes. Now, immediately coming in, I think this is a guy where, like Mitch has said, I've heard some contrasting reviews. I've heard a couple people say he's going to start if he gets the chance. I've heard a couple people say he's just a rotational piece. So we'll see. If I can get in the middle of that in this first year, I'm straight with that because then that means we got somebody where he's basically the sixth man and I can just slide him in there, right? And then there we go. We got damn near 6-7 man rotation in that D line, and that's exactly what you want. I mean, good D lines have that type of rotation.
You want your 6th, 7th again. If they keep 7, I would say he's going to be 5 or 6 defensive tackle on our rotation. Oh, yeah. And if that's what you're looking for a guy that is in that 95 percentile of athlete where, they just need to, if you give him 10 snaps a game, you tell him that first year, because again, you're getting a lot of things thrown at you. First thing I would do, I'd be like, go out there and be an athlete, right? Like, just go out there and be an athlete and everything else is going to take care of itself. But if you just need him to be that rotational piece, I think that he is a great, again, our defensive line is super deep, and I think he's defensive tackle 5, defensive tackle 6, which is a great problem to have.
And minus 2 dudes on the defensive line, pretty much everybody can play all 5 spots damn near, right? Pretty much everybody can rotate between all spots. But besides Max and Kuntz, it's pretty much the only 2 dudes you're like, I'm not really putting them inside like that, but everybody else can do everything. So I really like that about the D-line.
I think what the Raiders did with defensive tackle is kind of what they did with offensive line, where they're like, you know what, we're going to get 2 guys that, like, to me, Tonka Hemingway is kind of like Caleb Rogers. Hemingway's a much better athlete, but because he can just be a versatile defensive lineman, just like Caleb Rogers is a versatile offensive lineman. Like, they were like, we're going to value the trenches. I want versatility, and that's what we're going to go out and try to get.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, for sure. I love it. I mean, this guy's your lunch pail guy. He's going to come in. He's going to go ahead and work hard, can play multiple positions. Like we said, it definitely going to be one of those rotational piece guys, shades of Adam Butler. So I can't wait to go ahead and see what he does in camp for sure. Let's move on to our next guy, J.J. Pegues.
Man, I really like this one. I really like this one.
This guy's fun, man. He's fun. I love this pick. I don't know if I got the start. But I always wonder when the NFL is going to, if or when they end up banning the tush push. And I think that there's going to be teams that try to get prepared for it. And I almost wonder if John Spytek and his regime go, you know what, we're going to try to prepare for just in case if they ever to do it, because we saw a team like the Chiefs stop Josh Allen, stop the tush push, blah, blah, blah. But I do think having somebody a short yardage back, and obviously, you're hoping it's somebody along the lines of Ashton Genty, but like Pegues is an interesting prospect. Was a tight end, converted to defensive end, at defensive tackle. He carried the football 21 times for Ole Miss. 18 out of those 21 resulted in either a first down or a touchdown. And I do wonder if, he's going to play some defensive tackles. 0 missed tackles in 2023. He's a good defensive tackle. And another, kind of like tweener edge prospect where he was 6'2", 310. He's a bigger boy, but they lined him up at defensive end. They lined him up at defensive tackle. They allowed him to go out there and be an athlete. Now, when you look at the overall athletic testing, it's not great. It's a 4.82 on the RAS score, so it's not really somebody that's like jumping off the board in terms of athletic ability, but extremely high character player, because one of the coaches that we talked to from Ole Miss literally told us at our chat sports team, they go, you don't allow a kid to do the amount of things that they were allowing him to do unless you have the utmost trust in him. A football team that trusted him to, work on the goal line, to be a short yardage guy. And you're telling me right now, if we line it up with Jack Besh, Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, that's a 3 wide receiver set you could run. You put a fullback back there with J.J. Pegues, it's 3rd down and 1. You're running behind Jackson Powers, Johnson, Pegues. You're going to get that yard. And we might not have the tush-push QB, but I think J.J. Pegues is the type of move where you're like, you know what? It's 3rd down and 1. It's 4th down and 1. We need to go get a first down. Let's go get a fucking first down. Excuse my language. But J.J. Like, let's go get a first down. That's the Pegues to me, where I've been preaching for a long time. Let's go get ourselves a tush-push quarterback. I think J.J. Pegues might be a sneaky player in that regard.
Yeah, and I've been saying it for a minute. You start with the offense, love the pick, but been saying it for a minute. We can legit throw out a I'm just gonna fuck you up crew today, like for real. Like honestly, like where it's like we're not fucking around today. It is what it is. Like when you go ahead and you play teams like the Chargers, or we even play teams like the Broncos, maybe where it's going. We're gonna have to come in here. It's gonna be a bloodbath. It's gonna be one of them games, right? It's not gonna be cute today. It's gonna be one of those where smash mouth. We're gonna see who's more physical today. And in that standpoint, I never want to see what I saw last year again. It genuinely made me throw up in my mouth when we couldn't get a yard. When we couldn't get a yard in the goal line or whatever situation it was, bro, I had no confidence anytime, at any point, anytime last year that it was 3rd and 1, whatever short yard situation we were in, that we were going to get that. There was no confidence in that. This year, I have the utmost confidence now, where it's like, all right, we got the running back, we got the O-lineman in there. You have this man right here where you can genuinely give him the ball and not have to worry about it, right? And I've seen some times, though, he's been on the goal line. It's not like he's just running straight. Like, there's been some times that he done made a jump cut and shit. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought this man was like 312. Like, and he's making certain jump cuts. I'm like, goddamn. So I see the testing ain't up there, but when I watch him and he's doing certain things, I'm like, wait a minute. There's no way a man this size should move this quick. There's no way. And then you watch him in DT. I know everybody highlights the offense, but in DT, bro, like he's actually real solid as DT. Like he has some real crazy moves.
13 and a half tackles for loss last season. And I think it's like that's one of those numbers where he is really athletic. And I think sometimes, we overhype the NFL Combine. Don't get me wrong, it's important, and you can really see how good some athletes are. But I also think that there's just a different mindset when you're in a game. And Pegues is one of those guys that you can see the mindset is just, I'm going to go get the football, and he figures out a way to go do it. But I also think like what the Raiders did from like Chip Kelly's standpoint, I know a lot of times people think Chip Kelly is, fast paced. But really, when you look at what he did last season at Ohio State, they were like the 95th in college football in plays run. And I do think, for the Raiders for so long, we're like, we got to find a quarterback that can go out there and compete with Patrick Mahomes. We got to find a quarterback that can go out there and compete with Justin Herbert. What the Raiders did to me this year is they were like, all right, well, it's a good way to compete with them. Keep them off the field. And the Raiders go out. They get a really physical running game. They're going to get guys that can extend those drives, getting that 1 yard. And they're like, well, the best way to keep, Patrick Mahomes on the sidelines is to keep him on the sidelines. And the NFL is a big-time copycat league. Oh, yeah, the Raiders are trying to build the way the Eagles and the way the Lions have. And that was very, very clear to me. Honestly, even teams, like the Broncos and the Chargers, like you mentioned.
Yeah, they're trying. That's what they're trying to do 100%. You can definitely tell. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I wouldn't put him primarily there because you got bigger bodies, but I'd be able to put him at nose and get that rare rushing ability from the nose in certain abilities. I'm not going to put him there all the time, but in certain instances where I really want to rush the passer, bro, I could put him out there and have legit all my guys out there be able to rush the passer. So I really like this. We have another $2 holla in the building, man.
Easy, big dog. Mitchell Renz in the house. Raiders, man. Appreciate you, dog. Appreciate you.
Shout out to
Thank you.
Big Dog. Salute, brother. Yes, sir. I love this. I love it. I mean, how can you not? How can you hate this pick? I mean, the guy can play different positions. Play DT. He can play off. You know, he can play tight end. He can play fullback. Wherever you stick him, obviously, you know, he's that special offensive weapon at the goal line. You can go ahead and have him line up in front of Genty and just clear a path, or hand him off the ball and let him run it himself. You know, and that's the thing that, like you said, Run. That you know, watching last year how we struggled to literally gain a yard at the goal line, it just blew my mind. Terrible. Yeah, so this definitely helps to change that for sure. Let's go ahead and move on to our next guy, and I think this is probably a guy that literally has been probably one of the talk of town aside from Genty. A late round pickup, Tommy Mellott.
Yep.
However you guys want to say it. People say the name like 4 different ways. So
that's a fact.
However you want to pronounce his name.
It is Tommy Mellott. If anyone wants to check it out, I had the opportunity to interview Mellott last week. We asked him a whole bunch of questions on the Raiders report, but he's a great athlete and super small town kid. He's from Butte, Montana. And, you know, we were like in the middle of the interview. I gave him a question and he literally was like, shoot. Like, you could tell how small town he is, but I kind of love it, you know. And if you guys get an opportunity today, go to his Instagram. Just type it in, Tommy Mellott. I don't know what it is exactly, but he's got a video on there when he won the FCS Walter Payton Award. It's the Heisman Trophy for FCS. You know, he goes back to, you know, Montana State, and it's every single person on his football team waiting for him to come celebrate with him. And I think it just speaks volumes of the type of leader he is. You know, he was a player in 2021 where he wasn't the starter at Montana State. The starter ends up going down, and then he leads that team to, you know, I think that's when they won one of their national championships. It's kind of like very similar to like a Tom Brady type of story, right? And then you see all the comps out there of Julian Edelman. Julian Edelman was a college quarterback converted to wide receiver, but Mellott's a better athlete overall. Like, we're talking 4.39, 40-yard dash type of speed, 4.2 shuttle. The RAS score of a 9.69, like, that can't be understated enough. But the reason why Montana State made him a quarterback is because they're like, we got to put the ball in this kid's hands. He's an incredible athlete. Like, we were talking to him about, you know, nicknames, and people called him, you know, Tommy Football. I forget what the other one was, but in returns of like Johnny Manziel, he's a much better athlete than Johnny Manziel. Quite frankly, calling him an athlete of Manziel's status is a slap in the face of him a lot. Yeah. But if there's one thing that we just always talk about, I would say this offseason, it's relationships, connections. And Pete Carroll, Spytech value connections, they value relationships. So one of the things that Mellott told me that I thought was very interesting was Tom McMahon, Raiders special teams coach, is a Montana boy. And he said that his relationship with the Raiders was through Tom McMahon. And if you listen to what John Spytek said this past week, he's like, we didn't want to tip teams away by giving a top 30 visit, but we knew that we had a good relationship with Mellott. Then I also asked Mellott, who was the very first player that reached out to him. He said A.J. Cole. And A.J. Cole and Mellott this, I guess, off season, whatever you want to call it, were actually working together for punting. A.J. was punting him the ball. Mellott was catching it. So, like, that's another thing where we're going to use them in special teams a lot. And I think it's also for a team that wants a lot of extra competition. They're going to have Geno, you know, you're going to have Cam Miller, you're going to have Aiden O'Connell, but you're going to be able to keep only those 3 quarterbacks because your emergency QB will be Tommy Mellott for quarterback 4. So you don't even really need to keep a quarterback there to build that extra roster spot. But I'm telling you this, for a guy that's got Julian Edelman type of comps, he's better. Like, he's more athletic than Hunter Renfrow in the slot. I don't know if he's going to have the handwork that Renfrow is, but for Raider fans out there that wanted to bring back Renfrow, I think you got a better version of Renfrow, quite frankly, in Mellott. He's going to be, if he can learn how to run some routes at an NFL level, he's a good enough athlete that, like, I think he's a better athlete than Trey Tucker. I do, and that's saying a lot. I don't know if he's faster, but I think he's a better athlete.
Okay. Now, for me, love it. I ain't gonna lie, man. I mean,
yeah,
usually
love it. Sorry,
six rounds. Nah, we I think we know. We already know what time it is. But I think 6-round picks. I usually don't really trip unless it's like somebody you're like, oh my god, like this is asinine. Like, and usually that's not really nothing you can say because it's a 6-round pick. So you use what you use. You hope you can get something and hope it works out. But it's mainly depth. But for me, man, real quick, man, we got another $2 holler in the building, man. Biggie, how you say that last name? Camacho.
Mickey Camacho.
Mickey Camacho, man. Appreciate you, big dog.
Yes, sir.
Mickey's one of my bodyguards.
Oh man, hey, there we go. Shit, we're gonna need some of that in a minute. I ain't gonna lie.
Oh yeah, I know.
We need some of that in a minute. But now digging into the history of Tommy, right? Like shout out my uncle, man, Turf. Ultimate Raider fan 32, man. He went to Montana State. He is a alum, you feel what I'm saying? Played there and all type of stuff. So when we picked touchdown Tommy, as he calls him, he was ecstatic because he already knew what time it was. He filled me in on the lore, right, of what Tommy is. So honestly, like digging into the background, I agree with you. I think looking at just the pedigree. Right, just looking at the pedigree of what he's done at his school, I definitely love the athletic pedigree and what he's done. But as long as he learns the intricacies of running routes, which will probably take time, I'm not going to sit here because even with Julian Edelman, it took time, right? Like I don't think, I think Julian, it took about like a couple years until he was an actual fixture in the offense. I don't think he was just.
I mean, he was a UDFA.
Yeah, he was a UDFA. He was straight special teams and. He returned kicks and all that. I'm excited to see him on the kick return now. That's where I want to see him immediately because we need some juice there. We ain't had no juice in that kick return game in a minute, man. So I definitely want to see him inflict some juice in that. Waiting to see that. And as the years continue, I can definitely see them saying, all right, each year we stack on more to the tool belt on the route tree, see what he can do. You know what I mean? And then before long, see what he is. So I definitely like it. Definitely love it.
Yeah, same. I love it. Like you said, Julian Edelman for me, and he also gives me that Taysom Hill kind of vibe because he can go ahead and.
Spytek said that when he got him too. Spytek said the exact name.
Yeah, exactly. So he can take some snaps and there's some deception there, right? So you don't know offense. I don't know if he's going to be exactly like Taysom, where he's going to be that big body tight end type of dude. But he can go ahead and run the ball, throw the ball, whatever we need him to. And like you said, we don't even need a third quarterback or fourth quarterback.
Right.
We have him. He's going to be our emergency guy. God forbid something happens and these guys get knocked out. We saw that happen. This past year. But yeah, I definitely at first we had no clue until we pulled up the tape last week. My guy Ren pulled up the tape, and then I was impressed. So for sure,
trick plays, extending drives. Like Milan's going to be one of those guys where again you put him in the game, and even like I'm always a big believer. Like Geno Smith, he's your quarterback. He's always going to give you the best shot. But I do wonder if you were to line Tommy Millott up in the slot, put him in motion with Ashton Genty, a little RPO action, like. That's a tough man to you got to be able to pick one or another. And even if you just show that on tape just one or two times, defensive coordinators are just going to have to respect it. And if that takes, I don't know, an hour away from their day scheming up, trying to figure out how to stop, somebody along the lines of an Ashton Genty, like I can remember Raider fans were like, oh, I want Marcus Mariota back. I'll tell you what, you kind of got a Marcus Mariota style of quarterback. Just wait. So I think Millott is more athletic than Marcus Mariota. And when we see the way that they use him, I think, again, that you're just putting a player out there in the field that teams are going to have to respect. And the amount of players that we have on our offense that teams have to respect, it's only going to open it up more for Ashton Genty. And I think that's 100%. The overlining thing that we have done in this draft.
100%.
Yeah, yes, sir. Let's go on to our next 6th-round pick, Cam Miller. Love it or hate it.
Okay, we're in the 6th round. I don't think you can hate anything here in the 6th round. I did get told by a source that the Raiders actually had a higher draft grade on Cam Miller than they did Will Howard. And if Will Howard would have been on the board, at 215, they would have chose Cam Miller, which I'm
That's
not the biggest
interesting.
Will Howard fan. I'm not
That's
the biggest
interesting.
Will Howard fan, but that was something that was told to me.
Very interesting.
So for Cam Miller, again, another guy, he's a competitor, and it's kind of funny, you know, the Raiders, Malott, Miller, they went up against each other in the FCS title game. The Raiders also have a camp invite. He's a running back from, it's like Tarleton or something like that. I can't think of his name. They brought him in for a camp invite, but
They were in the
Cam
FCS
Miller,
heavy then, huh?
Devin Ford.
I don't think that's
Camp
the name.
invite? He's from Notre Dame.
There's a camp invite running back, but the 3 finalists for the Walter Payton Award were
That's
Cam
crazy.
Miller, Tommy Malott, and this running back that the Raiders brought in for a visit or camp invite. I got to look at the name. I did a show on it the other day, and I can't quite remember his name. The school was small school. I feel like it was like Tarleton, like it was a university. Small running back. He was like 5'7", pretty thick build. But anyway, Miller, though, competition. And I think like that's one of the things that Pete Carroll just always talks about. And I think really good NFL teams always value backup quarterbacks. Howie Roseman's one of my favorite GMs. And I think, you know, even like look at the Detroit Lions. They really value having a solid backup quarterback, God forbid if somebody goes down. But I think Cam Miller is going to be able to come in here and just make Aiden O'Connell better. I'll be real. I think Aiden is a better quarterback than Cam Miller right now. And I think he's going to be a better quarterback than Cam Miller, just full transparency. But if you're telling me right now, I didn't want to draft a quarterback like a Shedeur Sanders because I wanted my entire fan base to be able to root and cheer on Geno Smith. So I'm going to draft a quarterback that's going to make our backup quarterbacks better and it's going to make our practice squad better. Then that's why you go out and get yourself a Cam Miller. But again, like high trait guy, I don't think that he's going to be anything in the NFL. I'll be real with you. But could he be somebody that makes it as a backup in the league for many years and able to pick up a playbook? Sure. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, man. It's the 6th round. We're not expecting, especially a quarterback, right? Even if you would have took Will Howard at this point, I was even saying we're not expecting this man to be no franchise quarterback at this point in time.
Agreed.
Tom Brady's aren't, you don't find that on trees and all this extra, so you could try, but it's very interesting that you say that about Will Howard, knowing that we have Chip Kelly, and even so,
Agreed.
knowing that saying if you're there in the 6th, I'm still not doing that. So to let you know all that needs to be had. So even if we wanted that, we got to let that go. Wash your hands with that. Even me, I was a Shedeur guy, man. But at the end of the day, we didn't end up doing that. We passed on it multiple times, so it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think what Mitch just said is the main crux of it all, the main point, which is you want this fan base to ultimately say number 7 is the guy. That's the guy. We don't want no other, maybe we want to put this dude in, or maybe we want to put, no, like all steam ahead, all faith in Geno, and we'll see how that rocks from here going forward. But as for this year, this is Geno's team. So if we're going with that, so be it. Now the whole franchise quarterback situation is a conversation and question for another day. But as for right now, I say this right here. This is good for where we're at. This is definitely good for where we need.
Oh yeah.
So love it. I think he'll be able to definitely bring competition to Aiden O'Connell at the very least. His athleticism will bring the competition at the very least, because he's just can do things that Aiden can't do. So we'll see how that goes. I do think Aiden, he does have the advantage as far as going into camp and being that second body. I think he has the advantage, but see how it goes so far.
Yeah, agree.
The other running back's name was Kayvon Britton, and in the past 3 years, 722 carries, 4,168 yards, 50 touchdowns. But he finished 3rd behind Cam Miller and obviously to Tommy Malott. So Kayvon Britton is a running back that they brought in for a camp invite. So I just thought it was interesting that the three finalists for the FCS Heisman are all the guys on the Raiders' radar.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and same thing. I love this pick, and they want to send a message. Geno's our guy. I'll stay ahead with Geno, and there shouldn't be any question as far as we should put in this guy if things are not functioning as they should, right? But he, like you said, he's going to bring competition to Aiden O'Connell, and hopefully this will help Aiden become even a better quarterback in this upcoming season for sure. Let's move into our last guy here. And I'm very excited. We picked up a linebacker, Cody Lindenberg. Not the best pick, but Cody Lindenberg. Definitely needed in this, thin linebacker room. So I love it. I hope to see what he can go ahead and do again. Good compliment to Landon Roberts. That's part of that room as well. What do you guys think?
Yeah, and excuse my facial expression, bro. I just saw the first play of this Kayvon Britton dude. I'm intrigued.
He's
I'm
good.
I'm about to be watching this for a minute.
So
I'm intrigued.
He's 5'7". Like for Raider fans that I don't.
Genty 5'8". So I mean,
it's a big one. Like Maurice Jones-Drew. He's kind of built. He's got a little Maurice Jones-Drew build to him. Now again, Jones-Drew's lower half is unlike anything I've ever seen ever. But I mean, you're talking 5'7". Small school guy. It's kind of interesting. Oh, dude, to hide behind an offensive line. In terms of Lindenberg, though, I love this pick again. If we're in the 7th round, what do I look for? I look for guys that give me special teams value. 243 special team snaps. That's what you love to see. We had a 6th round grade on him at Chat Sports. He's got a C on his chest. That's going to matter to this organization. Yeah. But I look for people that. He's going to be the Robert Spillane replacement, but Tommy Eichenberg, you better get nervous. Amari Burney, you better get nervous. I like Amari. I think Amari Gaynor is going to surprise a lot of people this year just based on some of the people that I've talked to. But for a guy like Lindenberg, he was the green dot at Minnesota. And when you have a green dot linebacker, I think that's just a whole nother realm of respect amongst all of your team members, among the coaching staff. And in the 7th round, you had a green dot linebacker. That to me is a win, and like it just goes again with what Carroll and those guys are trying to do. They're going, all right, if we're going to go in the 7th round, I don't want just a 7th round guy. I want a high character, somebody that's respected in that room. Athletically, did pretty well, 8.16 RAS score overall, so in the 86th percentile or 81st percentile. I think he's really just more of a run stopper. I don't love what I've seen in coverage, but then again, Big Ten football is about stopping the run. You don't really get to see, I think linebackers really show their full colors in coverage. And when they are asked to do it, typically it's against a team like Ohio State. And, those
they don't go well.
Exactly. You get carved up. So
I agree, man. I think,
so maybe it's good.
Yeah. I do agree, though, to a point where it's like, I love the fact he stick his nose in there, man. Like he goes in there, he seek out the trash, you know what I mean? When it comes to, stuff in the run and just seeking out where the ball carrier is, he's nasty at that. He's got a nice little sense about it doing that. And I agree with you in the 7th round. Like in these rounds, bro, I'm just trying to find either depth, special teams, or really I'm going to try to get a position where I feel like it can be a high hit rate in this low rounds. Like I feel like linebacker, running back, these type of positions you can get in the lower rounds, and you can end up getting somebody that can surprise you and play a nice little decent amount for them type of position. I mean, and with this room, you can just slot him in immediately and be like, well, he's gonna compete already. I mean, there's nobody else in the room that really stands out as far as our younger kind of crop of guys. Like they're all kind of the same type of dude. So like you said, Eichenberg on the clock. Bernie on the clock, you know what I mean? There's so many guys in there that it's like, now we got to start seeing production. I know he had kind of like a durability type of thing, but then again, it's the 7th round, so that is what it is. So for me, I love it for sure. For sure, I definitely can see him playing. We still got a problem in the linebacker room, but just
we do.
How the hell are we gonna cover people? But I mean, at this point, it is what it is, bro.
Yeah. I mean, and there's still time to go ahead and pick up a guy, either in free agency or if somebody gets cut, because we are going to approach that point where there's dudes going to be released, and again, not necessarily they're saying they suck, they just might not be a good fit into that system that they were in, right? So we saw that with Chason last year. I think he bounced around to a few teams, was with the Jaguars, we picked him up on waivers and he came over here and balled out. So that definitely could be the case. I don't want everybody to just be panicking all of a sudden because we tend to do that. Give it some time. There might be some gems out there that we pick up later on in this offseason for sure. But that was a segment. Hate it or love it. Appreciate it. Appreciate everyone pulling up and watching that. I hope you guys enjoyed it for sure. But really quick, you good on time, Mitch?
Yeah, honestly, Alex told me she'd be home about 40 minutes ago, and she ain't home yet. So when she gets home, I gotta go. But still good.
For sure.
I love it when it be one of those. The wifey said she got to do something, but she late, so I'm gonna do what the fuck I gotta do real quick.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate it. So let's go ahead and move on again. Appreciate everyone pulling up. We have over 150 people in the building. Salute to everyone in the chat who's tapping in with us on this special edition of Good Morning Raiders with our guy Mitch Renz in the building, chopping it up with us. Let's go ahead and I want to go ahead and ask this question, and I want to get Mitch's take on this. What position room do you think has proved the most from this draft, from this free agency? You know, now kind of seeing more pieces being added to us. Which room do you think has improved the most?
The obvious one, I guess, is running back. Adding Ashton Genty is going to make the running back room significantly better. You got to look at wide receiver. I think wide receiver being able to add 3 legit receivers that add depth. Like, again, I love me some Jacoby Myers. I like Trey Tucker. Anybody besides those 2 names, though, going into the draft, there's no way you could tell me I had any confidence in any of those guys. Christian Wilkerson probably hates me, but he just keeps on hanging around every single time. No doubt about it. I just every year I'm like, I don't know how Wilkerson makes this roster, but he does. But now, I think legitimately our wide receiver room is much, much better. So I would say wide receiver and running back is probably where I would say we made the biggest strides forward.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Really quick, shout out to our guy Raider Ron with the $5 special. Shout out.
I mean, I don't know how you be mad. Look here, man. I said it multiple times for the draft. Our goddamn receiver room sounded like a law firm. We had Alex Bachman and Kyle Phillips. Bachman and Phillips. You could have told me right now you got in a car accident. You called Bachman and Phillips. You might go ahead and get off. But for me, bro, we had to get some type of depth in there, man. We had to get somebody of some other skill set. There's no way you could have looked in there in that receiver room and would have said, even if we would have got Ashton Genty, right? Just slotting Ashton Genty in with the receiver room how it was not going to be conducive to success. By week 6 or 7, we was going to be pissed because if somebody went down or whatever the case, bro, teams are going to do what they did last year and say, well, you're not just going to have Brock today. Brock is take him away, right? And then after that, Jacoby is Jacoby, but Jacoby, you know what I mean? Like we saw that last year. We saw what happened. So for me, I just think there needs to be more, right? There needs to be just at least one more. Now if we're playing, I always use this analogy because it's the best one. But now if we're playing like a Denver, you can't just say, well, I'm about to put Pat Surtain on Brock Bowers and that's it. Like, there we go. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just do that anymore. Now you have to do other things with this. You have to have different type of matchups. You can't just say, I'm going to put Riley Moss with Jack Besh. Like, that's not going to work. You know what I mean? He's going to out-physical Riley Moss. 10 out of 10. I don't care about none of that. Now, Johnny Barron is a different story. We're going to talk about that. I know you probably had your own little thing about the divisions and all that because our divisions had a nice-ass draft. But for me, bro, it has to be the receiver room because now you can play on different things now.
Yeah, for sure. I think same thing. I think the wide receiver room is probably the most improved, with running back really being their close second. I mean, we created so much more depth. Literally, yeah, like you said, it's pretty thin. Bachman and Phillips. That's literally what we had before this free agency and draft started. And now look at us now. You know, we literally added 3 more pieces to our room. And talking about the running back room. Ashton Genty, I think enough said right there. Somebody to go ahead and compliment Moser. Mind you, we still have, Zamir White, Sincere McCormick, still being in the part of that room, and those are depth pieces that we're going to utilize when, we need somebody to go ahead and
I like them way better as depth. Yeah, I like them way better as depth.
They're not our starters. They're not our day one guys. So, I definitely like that. And it's kind of still being on that boat. What positions do you guys still think that need to be filled?
To Raider Ron. Raider Ron is our biggest donor over on the Raiders Report. That's my guy right there. That's my guy right there. Literally, if you guys ever see me, I got RR tattooed on my leg. That's because of that guy right there.
There you go.
So, yeah, crazy mother effer. I promise you that. No, he's got to be down bad right now. He's a Warriors fan, and that series is going to 7.
Oh,
bro,
man.
I feel
we out here on the West with the Lakers, man, so don't worry. He'll join us in a little bit if that's the case, man. Yep. He'll join us soon.
Chugs is a Rockets fan, so he's been talking hella shit on our streams. Hella shit. But I would say the positions that still need to be filled, free safety to me it's got, like, again, I like Isaiah Paul-Lamau, but if you told me Isaiah Paul-Lamau is our safety 3, I would feel way better about this defense. Where if I can go out and get a Julian Blackmon, if I could go out and get like a Justin Simmons, relationships are really important to this team. Quandre Diggs is somebody who's really close with Pete Carroll through his times with Seattle. But true free safety, we don't really have one. And again, that's not a knock on Isaiah Paul-Lamau. Now, this is a defense that is extremely physical, extremely long, extremely athletic. And if you're able to get pressure with 4, it's going to be tough, I think, for teams to run on us and really beat us in that 10 to 20-yard gap. Beyond that, though, I am really scared because there were times last season where teams would pick on Isaiah Paul-Lamau. And, it's just his strong suit is being that third safety, playing up near the box, playing up near the line of scrimmage. If you're asking him to drop back into coverage on a regular basis, I actually don't think that you're using him to his strong suit. The other position that I would say we got to add is linebacker, and there's a lot of Amari Burney, hell of an athlete. Amari Gaynor, much better of a linebacker than we get credit for. Devin White, I think, is probably more suited to be an edge at this point of his career than just being a every down linebacker. But Landon Roberts, I would say, is the only pure starter that we have. And Landon Roberts is a very middle-of-the-road linebacker. Now, he's a hell of a run stopper. Landon Roberts is the type of linebacker that I am when I play Madden. I haven't played Madden since I was probably 15, but it was just nothing but hit stick. I'm coming down the lane, I'm hit stick. That's Landon Roberts. We need a coverage linebacker. The problem is, though, there's not many great coverage linebackers out there. Kaiser White, Juwan Bentley, maybe along those lines, and then nickel. Nickel corner is the other position that scares me quite a bit because we need a nickel corner.
Yeah, I've said it, as you point to safeties, man, I've said that for months. I'm like, I love, and that was my whole thing with Trayvon Merrick coming in too, right? Where I was like, I like Trayvon Merrick, and we have to replace, if we're going to say, okay, we're going to pay Paul-Lamau and all that, I would pay Paul-Lamau to be my strong safety, but the whole time I was like, hey, Javon Holland, at least Javon Holland he's a real freak, right? He'll go out there, he'll play that center field. Now you got Jeremy Chin, where it's now, I like the length, of course. I like the aggressiveness, but now I look at two dudes where I'll say they're better off in the box. They are. Both of them are better off down closer, playing down in the box. We still need that guy that can play the Roman free. Now, do they have that in the room? Maybe they think they do. I don't know. We'll see as it goes forward. But I don't necessarily see that. So I necessarily think, we do got to get that, like you said. Linebacker for me, though, it's very nasty right now, right? Linebacker is dirty. After Landon Roberts, there's nothing in there, right? I know people,
really, there isn't.
I know people love Devin White. I get it. But we have to understand now, I ain't seen Devin White be good since I was in college. I have a whole ass kid now. We have to understand these things, bro. We can't just snap our fingers and say it's about to be 2019 again, and all of a sudden we seeing Devin White do what he did. He's been on 3 teams since then. You feel what I'm saying? So it's not bro, we've seen this.
Bowl champs.
You feel teams where he's been beat out by younger dudes. It's not bro, he has not been there. He's got signed and got beat out by younger competition already. So hopefully this is the spot where we say, yeah, bro, hopefully this is the spot we say he figures it out and does all that. But I'm not gonna hold my breath. We still gotta understand reality. So Eichenberg, we gotta hope one of these younger dudes in this room takes a step. Eichenberg, Burney, Gaynor, like you're saying, we have to hope that they do. Because if they don't, we're screwed, dog. We're screwed back there. Because Landon Roberts, like you said, is the only guy that's going to really get in there, stick his nose like we know. But then off of that, teams are going to know, bullshit. I mean, if we block up the front line, I mean, we're going to have all day because these linebackers can't cover worth a damn. I mean, so at that point, bro, we're going to get killed in the middle again, like we usually are every year. So I'm already preparing myself for it this year, dog. We're going to tight ends going stupid across the middle and shit. I already know what's going to happen.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I say linebacker, that nickel position.
Nickel
well.
is bad too.
Nickel is
Darnay
bad
Holmes
too.
Starter to me. I saw they had
right
Ja'Cory
at the
listed
moment.
there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If they put Ja'Cory in the nickel, dog, like, come on, dog. Like, I don't like that. I mean, I get it because they like their long corners on the outside and all that extra, and he's not that like long like the Camryn and all these other guys, but I just don't know if that's the best skill set. I don't know if we should be doing that. I don't know.
Yeah. So I mean, you got potential guys that you can go ahead and pick up in free agency. You know, as far as linebacker, you got Mosley out there.
Mike Hilton's a good pickup.
I heard Jermaine Pratt was gonna get released soon. I don't know how y'all feel about Jermaine.
Our best linebacker, you know.
Yeah. Sadly.
Yeah. So I think
talk about
those are
Pratt the same way I would Roberts.
Yeah. I know we talked about Jalen Ramsey not too long ago, but he's not in need no more.
Nah.
I don't think. Now, if you still got Jalen Ramsey, I ain't gonna be mad at all. I'll say, fuck it. You still
definitely.
I ain't gonna be mad at
with
all.
open arms for sure.
Put him at safety.
Oh, see, now we're talking. Now you talk about the third safety. I trust Jalen Ramsey doing that 100%. 100% doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Ramsey can play. I still think he's good enough to play corner in the NFL, but you know, you do sometimes see these guys that are just these truly athletic specimens. Like Charles Woodson's a great example of that. Patrick Peterson, most recently, he did it with Pittsburgh, where he was like, you know what, I still got it up here. I'm still a damn good athlete to go out there and do it. I might not just be good enough to play corner like I want to in the NFL. So if you can drop me back at free safety and be a coverage guy, again, like I don't know if that's what you do. Like, do you trade probably a 4th round pick and pay Jalen Ramsey $21.1 million to be your free safety? I don't know. I would have just said go out and give Javon Holland 3 for $45 like the Giants did.
Right. When you said Justin Simmons, that was another guy I definitely take a look at if we can do
Justin Simmons would be the top 2 guys I would go out and get. If I was a betting man, I think Quandre Diggs will be an interesting player just because of his Pete Carroll connections.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. So at this point, how do you think the defense will look this season coming up? You know, the way it is at the moment. You know, let's say we don't pick up anybody else.
I don't expect us to have a top 16 defense. I'll be real with you. What's got to carry us. And that's just like the utmost truth. Like our defensive line just has to go out there and really, really, truly carry this football team. And if they do, then we can have a top 16 defense. But I mean, our coverage ability just scares the hell out of me right now. And that's just the most honest truth. I think teams are going to have a hard time running the football on us. I think that we are going to play a very physical brand of football. However, though, if teams are able to throw on us because we're not able to get pressure for whatever reason, it's going to be tough because we just don't have coverage ability. At linebacker, we don't really have coverage ability. You know, at free safety, we have a lot of good players. There's a lot of unknowns, but I am way more confident in our offense than I am our defense right now, which, you know, might surprise some people out there. But now Max, Wilkins, Kuntz, Tyree, Adam Butler, you know, prove that they can get better as a unit. Well, then I think that this defense is going to be pretty tough to beat.
No, I'm 100% with Mitch. If our D line's not eating, it's going to be now. I even said this before. I'm like, dog, if there's any time with a quarterback that's competent and he has a good receiving group, we cannot come out here and automatically be like, oh, man, we're going to have a top 10 defense. Because at the end of the day, you got to understand, like, if our D-line's not getting pressure, bro, how much confidence do we have in Eric Stokes and DeCamerion Richardson at this point right now being these coverage corners that we need, right? That's going to, the quarterback is running around buying time. I'm not seeing that, right? Even the Landon Roberts, even Devin White. And that's not saying that we can't be a good defense, but there are deficiencies in there, right? Where I'm like, yeah, if the right team.
Your defensive line to be top 5 in sacks. And if they're not, you're in trouble.
Yeah, if the right team catches on the right day, it's gonna be ugly. It's gonna be, or Gino gonna have to put on an all-time performance that day, because I'm telling you right now, we're gonna have to score points with some of these teams, dog. Like the way that it's set up. Now, middle of the pack for me, I'm looking at like around 15, right? Maybe at the highest 14th ranked best defense in the league, somewhere around there. There's still some holes to fill. If we go into the season as it is right now, we ain't got no nickel for real, so we'll struggle with that. Linebackers got to get filled. We'll struggle with that, So there'll just be holes that we just knew going in that we weren't going to be able to just correct all in 1 year, right? Like we knew that. Yeah. I mean, coming into the year, we weren't going to be able to get all these things all done in 1 year. That's going into next year. Now we have a more plan where it says, okay, well, our defense was trash in these areas. Now let's go get a nickel. Let's go get a fucking linebacker now. So we're just going to have to deal with it this year. That's just is what it is for me.
Yeah, in facts. I agree. Like, I feel that our defense might take a little bit of a step back. Our trenches are deep, but after that, it's just there's a lot of concerns. That middle linebacker position is definitely one of them. If I had to choose between a nickel and middle linebacker, I'd probably get middle linebacker, to be honest with you, because I feel that position is more of a need. We saw when you what happens when you don't really have a really good coverage last year. I mean, Spillane, he's great and all, but he struggled sometimes in that position. So,
even he struggles sometimes. But
yeah, exactly. So I mean, we just got Landon Roberts at the moment. So that's good. Too. Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be some nasty work if they get if they get one of those days where they just teams have a great game and we're just not able to get to the quarterback. We're gonna be in trouble. And so
if our D line not on,
we're gonna be a long day for sure. But we said, I think we're all in agreement. The offense is probably gonna be the thing that's most improved. How much of an improvement will this offense have this season compared to last year? How do you think? How much more of an improvement will we see? Is it gonna be like a night and day type of thing?
Oh, I don't know what night and day.
And I mean, it has to be where we've had probably the worst offense or bottom 5 offense the last 2 years, and we finally made a huge upgrade at quarterback. We made a huge upgrade at running back. But I'm a guy where I'm like, all right, we got to talk about building block players, and we have a lot of building block players. Where I know Gino's getting up there in age, 34 years old, no doubt about it, but you also have a foundation, and I think the Raiders foundation is very clear to me, where Ashton Genty, Jackson Powers-Johnson, Brock Bowers, that is your 3 players that you build around on offense for the next whatever many years. And there's going to be different quarterbacks, and I hope Gino turns out to be the QB that I think that he can be. But when you have those 3 type of players, you're telling everybody, hey, we're going to try to be a really physical football team for the next 5 years. And that to me is like the John Spytek, he's got a 5-year window. Carroll's got this 3 to 4 year window. And I think having those 3 players is we're going to try to be the most physical football team in the NFL with those 3 guys. And we're probably going to be able to do it too, because those 3 players are, if you tell me running back, tight end, center, best center, tight end, running back duo in the NFL, it belongs to the Raiders, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. And then if you really have that and you continue to improve the offensive line, there's not many teams you won't be able to beat, with that combination, because already that's 3 levels, right there, where you got guys that are dominating. So correct me, what is like 20 points? How much did we score a game last year? What did we score a game? It was like 20-something?
Average?
19? Yeah.
I think we're averaging
lower than that.
17 to 19 points.
17 to 19 points?
Yeah, I think so.
That's what I thought. Something like that.
We struggled to break 20.
That's what I thought. So somewhere around 20 was the cap.
18.2 points last season, which ranked 29th in the NFL.
Got it. So 18. I expect us to bump that up and definitely get around closer to top 10. I'd put us around like more toward the like 13th best offense if it was all said and done. That's my projection. That's what I would project. Us getting up there.
For about 23, 24 points per game, which I think that is a very good number. And that might not seem like a big jump. I know some of these teams, like, people want, 30, which
shit.
You're gonna have those games. You are gonna
Kansas
have
City
those.
didn't even do that shit last year like that. So I don't know. Kansas City only lost like one game, and they wasn't scoring like 30 points like that a game, dog. You don't even need it, you know. It's just now if you said 24 to 25 a game, and that's what we get. Hey, we're gonna win a lot of games. We're gonna win a lot of games, especially with the schedule we got. You know, the schedule we got is kind of fair to us. We got some teams on there that are, I would say, not as good, right? Like as we should, but 25 points should be enough for you to win a lot of games if the defensive line is on. And the defensive line is rocking how we think it will.
To go out, win 9 to 10 games this year. I mean,
Yep.
Geno Smith has never had a losing season the past 3 years, you know, with Seattle. And I get it. Like, you want to talk about what he did before, all that. I don't really give a shit. Like, I look at what Geno did the last 3 years. One of my guys, Jonathan Hankins, he did an interview recently with Crosby. And I was talking to Hank, and I was talking to his, I'll call him manager, if you will. And Hank told me, he's like, I'm telling y'all right now, Geno's a top 10 quarterback. And, you know, Hank literally said, he's like, he did a lot better than what he was given with how bad that offensive line was. And, you know, I kind of agree with it. And look at what the Raiders did. Geno's super accurate, but can also get play action going. And we have receivers that won't drop the football. We have a tight end that can do a multitude of different things. We have a very deep offensive line. And honestly, we might have the best running back in the NFL right now in Genty, where I get it. It's tough to say that after the year Saquon Barkley had, but you put Ashton Genty on that Philadelphia Eagles team last year, and I think he runs for 2,000 yards.
Yeah, if you put him on there, I'd agree. That offensive line, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Now there's some people I know Jay's gonna get into we're gonna get to our last little segment of the day, man, which is just talking about your content creation journey, you know what I mean? Kind of, or maybe what you would like to see more in the creation space as we go ahead. But definitely I see some people talking about, Geno not leading us to the promised land or whatever like that. I would like to inject this last little thing and kind of this last little question, kind of like expectations this year and kind of what your expectations would be. For me, I'm not expecting Super Bowl right now from Geno. Not right now as it sits. I want her. If Geno leads us to one playoff win, I'm going to be ecstatic. Ecstatic, dog. I haven't seen not one. I'll continue to repeat it until we get it. Until not one playoff win my whole life. So one playoff win is good for me. I'm good right now, dog. They trying to eat the whole enchilada. They trying to eat the whole cake. They trying to fucking walk before they even crawled and all that, dog. Dog. Let's crawl before we walk. Get the one playoff win, and then we can start talking about, hey, maybe we can go deep. Maybe we can win an AFC championship game and all that. Do you know not even our best player has won a playoff game? Not even our best player. Yeah. I think he's only – has he even played in one? Has Max played in one playoff game? I think that's it.
Yeah, he
the Bengals one, right?
2021.
Yeah, I think it was the Bengals one. I think that's the only one he's had.
Yeah, that's the only one. Yeah.
Timeout.
Yeah,
against the Chargers and the Bengals.
Come on, man. Nah, dog. We got to get more. You know what I mean? He'd tell you that right now. Like, I just need the feeling. You know what I mean? Like, just being in the playoffs. So
it's been so long, he probably forgot how it feels.
Yeah, dog.
Raiders are doing, though. Like, they bring in a lot of high character guys, a lot of very athletic guys, and they're bringing players in that are a bunch of captains. And when you're trying to build, I've said this multiple times on my show, where Pete Carroll, John Spytek, Tom Brady, I think are all guys that are trying to build this, honestly, kind of like a college football program where, Brady said it all the time, like, I'm a Michigan guy because people would come in and, you learn to buy in and you learn how to build a program. Now with like guys transferring all the time, you don't see that as often. But one of the qualities that a lot of these Raiders players have is, a lot of these guys played either a lot of snaps in college football, high athletic guys, high quality guys, but you need to have high character guys to be able to come in and buy into what you're selling. And when you just look at the structure of, a contract like Max Crosby, I think that what they're telling you right now is their window to win a Super Bowl is in 2027, which I don't think that really should surprise people because that's the third year for Carroll. And if he wants to get that fourth year, like that's going to be the most important year. So I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to get players to buy in for this year. We're going to, hey, man, we're going to go out. We're going to try to win 9 to 10 games, get into the playoffs, see what happens. 2026, let's go win a few playoff games. And then come 2027, if everybody is bought in for that 2 to 3 years, I mean, It's literally what Spytek and Carroll did at Tampa Bay and Seattle, and both of those franchises were able to win a Super Bowl. So, like, you know, like this is a proven thing that both of these coaches, GMs have been able to do, proven track records. That's what this Raiders team's trying to do. But I agree with you. I mean, to me, if we just make the playoffs, like just make the playoffs, that's a huge stamp of we clearly got better.
Yes. Oh, yeah, definitely. By bounds and reaches. I mean, you know, I already see this offense moving into that direction. I mean, we went out and got the best running back in the game, and you know, in college football. And we significantly increased our running back room. We went out and got probably like a top 15, top 10, possibly quarterback. You know, that could be disputed, but either way, this team is going to be different from last year. That's one thing for sure. It's going to be different from last year.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and if we,
can you guys still hear me? My headset went. It died.
You all good, brother?
Oh yeah. No, you're good. You're good. Yeah. So I feel that it's almost going to be a night and day type of thing, you know, compared to last year where we said struggled to gain 1 yard from the goal line. You know, we're not going to see that anymore. That's something where we can just look back and hopefully laugh at it and be like, remember when you used to be like that? Yeah. And that's where I see us going. As far as scoring wise, I see us in that 24 to 25 point per game average. And like you said, it might not be a lot, but when you consistently hitting about 24 points per game, that's great. I mean, that's
you're gonna win
what
games.
You want on your team. Yeah, you're gonna win games. You're gonna have, you know, those 30 plus scoring games here and maybe there, but really what we want is around more than 20 points. I know I've said it for all my shows last year. We need to hit over 20 points. That was always our key to win, and we failed to do that many a times. I'm pretty sure if we were able to go ahead and score more than 20 points per game, we could have won at least like 3 or 4 more games last year, but it's just our offense was in shambles. So we are definitely corrected that this season as far as the draft and free agency. Obviously, there's still more off season to go. There might be some late pickups from waivers, from people getting cut. So we'll see what happens. But as of now, I feel that this offense has definitely improved for sure. All right. So let's go ahead and get to our final segment. Yes, sir. The spotlight. Meet our guests. All right. So this is, you know, after every show, if you guys are new to the show, Good Morning Raiders. I mean, this is a guest show. We have guests on every week. And at the final part of the show, we like to go ahead and put the spotlight on our guests. So we like to get to know more about you, more that what people see, you know, on camera. So I want to go ahead and start the segment off. This kind of new, but the spotlight. So let's start from the beginning. How long you been a Raider fan?
So, new Raider fan, grew up in central Pennsylvania. My family, we've only done fantasy football my entire life. So I've had a fantasy football league, which dates all the way back to 2006. The trophy that we have is literally, it's a 50-pound trophy. We took all my grandfather's old softball trophies, kind of melted them down a little bit, put them together, and it's a humongous trophy. So I'm a new Raider fan. 2019, I went out to Oakland Monday Night Football. It was the FAB game. And honestly, dude, it was unlike anything I've ever seen before. I went to a lot of college football games growing up, but it reminded me of a Penn State whiteout. And I'm a big, like, family guy. I come from the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. And like I said, didn't really grow up with a favorite team. Always did fantasy football. Going out to Oakland, then being able to go to week 9, it was Raiders-Lions. That was amazing. And then the final game in Oakland, week 15, when we lost to Minshew and the Jags. Yeah, the amount of people that showed me love, the amount of support that we got, the amount of good food, good drinks. You know, I didn't care if you were Mexican, black, white, purple, polka dotted. As long as you were rocking silver and black, you know, you were family. And that was a really, really big, awesome thing for me. So 2019 was the very first time I would say I was considered myself a Raiders fan, because I also thought it was a right that I had to earn, where, you know, like, I do the show. I did not, like I said, we started the show. And when I started it, I was like, oh, like, I think I could get down with Raider Nation. Like Raider Nation's kind of wild, kind of crazy like me. And just from like meeting the amount of people doing the show for a year, you know, I didn't really feel like I earned the right to call myself a Raiders fan until I went out to Oakland. And man, riding in on the BART, totally different type of experience again for me because I'm from like Amish country. It was wild, wild stuff. But since that day, man, I've been hooked ever since.
Yeah, man. I feel bad for, you know, some of the younger fans that have come in that, you know, like kind of our kids kind of Jay were like they'll never experience Oakland. You know what I mean? And even Oakland rough, dog. I mean, from the team to the stadium. Like, dog, I forgot who said it, but we was real life pissing in troughs, like at the stadium, dog. Like it was real life farm troughs that we was pissing in. So like, but hey, it was our shit though. It was ours though. I still love it.
Yeah, for sure. Let me ask you this. Every diehard Raider fan has as one of these. Who's your all-time favorite Raider and why?
Oh boy. I'd probably say Bo Jackson just because I think Bo Jackson is the greatest athlete of all time. For him to be able to play football the way he did, but then also to be able to play baseball the way that he did. I played college baseball and played semi-pro in Germany. So, yeah, I always have a respect for people that can play baseball. But Bo Jackson, I think he literally was so athletic that his hips, you know, like they couldn't handle how much of an athlete he was. And I do really wonder if he would have stayed healthy, you know, if we would talk about him a very, very different way. I mean, let's be honest. Like, I honestly think if you were to ask any football fan, and I mean real, true, diehard fan, you get one game and you get any running back at their absolute peak, who are you taking? You know, I don't know how you don't take Bo Jackson. But then I'll also say, you know, like I know he's a current Raider, Max Crosby. Crosby was the very first Raiders player that ever reached out to me back when our show back in 2019. I mean, we had less than 10,000 subs probably at the time. We got featured on Hard Knocks. And in that episode, Crosby broke his hand. I was like, Crosby, you know, if you ever want to come on the show, man, you hit me up. He hit me up. His family, they live really close to where we live down here. And that the Crosby family has shown me, you know, nothing but the utmost love. His brothers, his sisters, his mom and dad. So, and I think Max is the epitome of like what being a Raider is all about and having that Raider mentality. And like, I don't care what you do in life. You know, I know I'm not the smartest guy. I know I'm not, you know, the funniest guy, but I will always stand 10 toes. And, you know, it's not a knock on y'all. And I hope that you guys get to a point where, you know, you can do it full time for a career. But when I first started, I was like, nobody's going to outwork me. Nobody's going to out hustle me. And I think it's why people rock with the Raiders Report because, you know, we've been able to put out a video every single day for 6 years. And that takes a lot of time, a lot of dedication. But, you know, I say what I do because I do put in the time and the dedication. And I expect our players to do the exact same damn thing. They're making way more money than I am, right? Like we're chopping it up today. This has been 2 hours and 15 minutes just talking Raiders football. That's the type of mentality and that's the type of love that I want our players to bring. And I think Max Crosby is the epitome of that. So Bo Jackson, Mad Max, and I'll throw one out for Woodson.
Oh yeah, for sure. And me too. I love Bo, bro. I grew up on Bo. That was my guy, especially out in LA. I'm from LA originally. Okay. So I rock with Bo, and I would see all the Bo commercials. I'm like, man, that dude's just badass. So yeah, I feel you, bro. For sure.
Not even just a Raiders fan, but if he never got hurt, bro, he'd probably be one of the greatest running backs.
Oh, yeah.
All time. There's not even no question.
That's the next jersey, bro. That's the next jersey.
Yeah, there's no question. He'd be probably the greatest running back of all time.
Yeah. You want to go ahead and ask?
Oh, yeah. So, question that probably I have. I know, you know, we in this content game, and I know you just said, you know, what the Raiders Report has done for a whopping 6 years, man, and that's great.
Shout out to Pat Sports.
You know, the game is always changing, man. You know, it's always new people coming in. It's always new ways to do things, new whatever. But as far as you, this is a question I would like to ask because you've been in it for so long. What would you like to see more in the future from the content community as we continue on this journey? Because, you know, at the end of the day, like a lot of us now, it's starting to be a nice little healthy number of people I know now. It's like, okay, well, he's making this and he's making that. And we all, you know, with that comes competition. You know how it gets. You know how these things get. But what would you like to see more in the content game? Is being so. Let's say you one of the pioneers of it. Let's say it like that.
Yeah. I think there's a multitude of different ways I would look at it. First off, you know, more stuff like this where there's always a competition aspect of it. I'll be real. I don't really look at other Raiders YouTube channels as often in terms of competition.
agree, though.
And that's just because, we have, just more subscribers. Like, and my thing is like, I'm at the point now where I feel like if I just focus on me and making the Raiders report better, that's like the competition that I do where, I look at our NFL draft numbers in 2024 and I go, all right, we went live for 21 hours. We had 300,000 people join us. The competition I look at is I want to beat those numbers, right? And this year we did about 400,000, almost 500,000 views. We were live for 22 hours. So it's like that type of stuff. But I do think like just content creators in general got to be able to come together and, show people love, so show some people some support. That's probably my biggest thing. The other thing would be find your competitive advantage where, in today's day and age, like everybody's talking about the exact same thing. And I get that, right? Where I feel like people come to me on game days because I think Chat Sports is entertaining from a watch party atmosphere. And, that was something that we brought to the table. And to me personally, I think from an entertainment standpoint, that's my competitive advantage where, I think a guy like Sanjit does a great job with offensive line. Like if I would tell every Raiders content creator out there, I would say it's like, find your competitive niche. That way Raider Nation as a whole gets the best content overall. And it's not everybody just hearing, here's the Raiders news today, here's the Raiders rumors today, because I'm going to be real. Like that's going to be what I cover. And, I feel like I've just earned that right, earned that respect where people are going to come to me for that. But for like a smaller YouTube channel that's trying to get up in the run, like what is somebody that, nobody does, and figure out what that is. Because at the end of the day, if, everybody's doing their own little thing, that just means the content from a Raider fan who are watching it is going to be a lot better. So I would say find your competitive niche and don't always just try to do what everybody else is doing, but also at the same time, have fun. Because if you're not having fun, then people who are watching aren't going to have fun. And I think it's one of the best things that we've been able to do. And, I hope this isn't me speaking out of pocket, but I also think like a reason why we have so many Raiders content creators is because, I think the Raiders report is very well known. And I think a lot of Raiders fans are like, shit, if Mitchell Renz can do it, why can't I? And I hope people do have that type of mentality. And, like I've been able to help out a lot of people. And if you guys ever need help, like in the YouTube game, more than happy to do it. I've helped out some people now that have given me a big middle finger, and I won't help them again. But, I hope that people at the end of the day realize that we're just a big old Raider family. And that's the number one
exactly
thing.
Yeah.
And that's it. At the end of the day, like, I'm not ashamed to say that either. Because like anybody that'd be ashamed to be like, oh, I wasn't watching you before I did content. Or I wasn't, that'd be a lie. You feel what I'm saying? Like I was definitely watching your show, other shows before doing content, and it definitely inspired me to create my own. But like you said, find your own niche, find kind of what separates you, right? And I feel like definitely Jay and I, we definitely into that mold, and we definitely getting into that realm where we're starting to separate ourselves and do these sort of things. But I agree with you where it's like, I feel like it's all, I always say this, the government always gonna print money. So we ain't gotta always argue about, oh, who's making this and all that. Like, come on, dog. Like it doesn't matter about that. There's enough space in the YouTube game where all of us can make money, do things that we want to do. But at the same time, it's all football at the end of the day. So there's no need for us to be going back and forth or whatever the case. But I definitely agree with you, man. Just doing more of this, coming together more as a community, showing, even in the people that even don't do community, we be on X hella. You'll see a Raider fan post one thing and then they'll say, you stupid motherfucker, why are you posting this or blah, blah, blah. It's like
in all honesty, again, I mean this, where if I was like a young Raiders YouTuber, and I know people might roll their eyes to this, but if I was a young Raiders YouTuber and I wanted to like get my show going, I would make videos off of honestly what I talk about. And I mean that because, there's always like a layer of YouTube where like I talk about topics from guys like ESPN, and I talk about certain topics because, like that's like they're higher than me, right? And that's just the truth of the matter. And they're going to get a lot of eyeballs. So for me, like if I was going to start a new Raiders YouTube channel today, I would take talking points from like guys like me. Simone Raiders got a lot of respect in my eyes. Sanjit's got a lot of respect in my eyes. And I would take like topics that we talk about, and like I'd be like, oh, Mitchell Renz in his latest video said Trey Tucker could be traded. Like that would be the talking point. I guarantee you that channel would grow quickly.
You know why? And just, I'm gonna let Jay go. I never did that because I never wanted it to feel like, any one of y'all was like, "What is motherfuckers talking about me? Why you keep talking about me like that?" I'm like, for me, it's like I let y'all have y'all opinions, of course. And if we get on the show, I would love to debate that and do all that extra. That's just me personally, but I know other people do that all the time for sure.
Oh yeah. No, that's same. I don't like to do that. I just like to.
I don't want no confusion. Make it seem like I'm talking negative or nothing like that. Like,
to be honest, I think if you're gonna be a content creator, you gotta. I think any conversation around you is a good thing. Quite frankly, like there's always going to be negativity, and you just got to like weigh out the negativity. But I do think like there are ways where if I put out a video, Raiders trade candidates, and if Trey Tucker's featured in that video. I'm telling you right now, if I was trying to get a Raiders YouTube channel started, I would go, Mitchell Renz talked about Trey Tucker being in this video. Could he be traded? And you just answer that question. Like, I think like that type of content could be used a lot more.
Big game, man. I know I got some people in here, it's like, it's crazy, man. A little tree, man, Raiders tree of people that start podcasts. But big game, man. Some of the people that's in here, man, that just started their podcast too, man. Hey, y'all hear what he's saying, man. Get your numbers up, baby. Get your numbers up.
For sure. Same, man. Honestly, what you said earlier, like I was watching you before I even got, decided to make my own channel. I'm like, you know what? If he could do it, I could do it. Why not? Right. And this is something that I was even struggling with the whole time. I was always mentioning it to the wife here, like, hey, I want to do a podcast. I first want to do like a comedic podcast and just shoot the shit with my buddies. But I'm like, you know what? I love the Raiders. I'm invested. I go to the games, man. We buy the ticket and we're watching on Sundays, or we're going to Hooters and watching it. Yeah.
Really and so about you.
Yeah, and this is what I enjoy. So
it's a therapy session. That's how I started. I used to ride my bike in 2016. My bike ride for my German baseball league was about honestly like 35, 40-minute bike ride. And I started listening to the fantasy footballers. I don't know if you guys know who they are, but I had the opportunity then to write for them just because when I lived in Germany, I messaged them all the time because I didn't have like my football. Nobody really talked football with me and I missed it. So on my like bike rides, I would literally record myself talking about fantasy football and then I would play it back and listen to it. And I was like, I love listening to myself talk because I would sit there and I would debate myself. And I was like, man, if I could do this on a bigger scale, like that'd be a lot of fun to do. And, it's a lot of practice. It's a lot of reps. You're not going to build an audience overnight, but I think fans rally behind what I do and they'll rally behind you too. If you show them that, you're dedicated and at the end of the day, like people just want somebody that they know that they can trust and that, that they're going to have their back. And I don't care what time of the day is. I don't care what's happening. When the Raiders do something, people know that I'm going to be making a video. And I think like that goes a long way. And that's a huge tip to anybody. It's like, just be dependable in life. And I think people will show up.
Yep,
yeah, for sure.
100%, man.
Sure. And I feel that, I think when I started this show, because speaking on the, just getting everybody together, I think I started the show really that way. I wanted, to be selfish, like, hey, I want to interview like the best people out there. They're already ahead of the game. That already have the best takes out there. I want to pick their brain. I want to see what they do. Right. And this is literally why I started Good Morning. I'm like, I want to just do a guest show, something that nobody's doing out there. I mean, yeah, there's some shows that have guests here and there, but consistently week in and week out, we're the ones having guests out there. We're reaching out to people and connecting, and so I feel this is one of the ways that we can bring all the creators together. I was able to go ahead and get my boy Rundown on this, and this is a project that I was telling him we need to do something together, and this is really where Good Morning Raiders was kind of formed, and it's been taking off. So for sure,
we really appreciate you, though, brother. I mean, for coming on here and giving us some game, though. We really do appreciate that.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Let me ask you, a couple of things, to go ahead and wrap it up. Let us know what you have going on right now. Any collabs or any big content you guys are working on over at Chat Sports that we need to be kind of looking out for.
So this time of the year, we start getting ready for our Madden simulation. So the NFL schedule comes out Wednesday, May 14th. My first Madden live game I will do is May 16th on Friday, which is if you miss watch parties, if you miss Raiders football, we're just going to chug some beers, watch a Madden game, and just give ourselves a reason to hoot and holler. And it kind of just helps the off season go by a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
It also, allows me to be able to work with some of our other producers at Chat Sports. It also gives me, the ability to test out some of our new graphics, test out things. That's kind of how we do our preseason in a sense. But if you're a Raiders fan and you can't wait for the season, subscribe to the Raiders Report. We're going to be doing some Madden watch parties. That'll be coming down, which I'll be super hyped about. But also, I get married, crazy enough, in 34 days. So this, for me, like the NFL draft was kind of like, all right, now it's kind of me getting ready for getting the wedding season, if you will. Yeah. But the May, June, July is always the slowest time of the year for me personally at the Raiders Report. But at the same time, I've always just been focused on Raiders. And for the next month, I'm going to be focused on Alex a little bit more. So to be real, it's like my summer vacation right now, which is it's a good feeling.
That's us. Trust me. Yeah, we on family duty now. I already said it. After the draft, I was on live too much, and I had that look. I got that look from wifey. She was like, "Yeah, you was it was on there for way too long." Yeah, on there for way too long. I know. Hey, but shout out to the wives, man. Shout out to the wives, man. They're like, what we do is not easy for them to understand sometimes, man. I know, especially with your wife too, Mitch. I mean, you on more than us sometimes. So it's not even sometimes. You on more than us. So for real,
she's a battler. And again, you need somebody in your corner that understands what you're passionate about. You need somebody who's just very understanding in general, where my schedule is tough. I know that it's tough. Like, we're working a lot of weird hours is probably the best way that I could put it. But, that's how I provide for my family. And she understands that. She's super supportive. My company also allows me to take her out for dinner every month. They give me a lot of benefits, if you will, to make sure that she's super happy. And not all companies do that, but that's why I love Chat Sports, and it's been amazing. To this day, the number one thing that I am the most proud about that I've ever been able to do is when I started working at Chat Sports, it was 4 of us. It was my 2 bosses, me, and a guy named Tom, and we've been able to create over 30 full-time jobs for young kids that are trying to achieve their dreams down here. And, we had a pool party yesterday at my one boss's house, and just being able to look around and see, holy shit, everybody at this pool party is here because of all the hard work we did, 7 years ago, especially during COVID, even that time of the year, that time was crazy. And, people are able to live their dream because some of the hard sweat that you guys put in, 5 years ago. But, Raider Nation was also a huge reason of why Chat Sports is where it is at, right? Like Raider Ron the other day on our draft show dropped the largest donation we've ever got. And I don't keep any super chats. I don't keep any Venmo. It just gets put right back into our Chat Sports spot of being able to create more content and be able to do more crazy shit. So it's awesome, man.
That's fire, man. Congratulations on the wedding again, man. That's beautiful. It's
gonna be fun. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Our guy Jack Kenna, he did have a question for you. Did you ever get that Raiders tattoo?
I mean, if y'all are okay with me standing up and showing off my legs up here.
Man, come on, man. Show that thing off, man. Where's that?
Yeah, not a lot of people know this. I wanted to go ahead and highlight that question because I already knew.
All right, so I got the sleeve there, and then the Raiders emblems up here. But Raider Ron's the one that sent in the donation, which is right there.
There you go.
That's fire.
So the tattoo meaning was so the Oakland branches. I've always said a family tree is really important to me back home, and I've always felt like Raider Nation has brought me in and to be that second family. So I was like, all right, family tree. I'm gonna get rooted in Oakland. And to this day, when I walked off the BART and you're just walking through the chain link fence bridge, walking into the Coliseum, that was the first time I ever saw the Coliseum, and just looking out at all the lots and the smoke, which food smoke and different types of smoke. It was unlike anything I've ever seen before, and it was so cool. So I was like, I got to get the chain link fence on there. My tattoo artist, he's from LA. We flew him in. It was 8 hours one day, 6 hours the other day. The whole thing's actually live on YouTube if you want to go check it out. I think
I remember you doing that. I think I do remember you doing that. I think I do.
But I told him, I was like, could you tattoo Autumn Wind? And he's like, bro, you're asking a lot. So he did the storm. The white ink on my kneecap was one of the most painful things I've ever gone through.
Yeah,
but man, yeah, the whole thing took about 14 hours. But I'm gonna get Oakland on the front, and I'm already working on Vegas on the back. I got the Al Torch on the back of my Achilles, which that one was pretty tough. And then the back part of my leg, I'll just get finished up here. But I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I know I'm not an Oakland guy, but the town definitely – I think the best way that I can describe Raider fans, and I've told this story before, and I don't know who the young man is, but there was a 17 or 18-year-old boy. He was like 6'2", like big, like black kid. He walked right up to me on the BART, and my BlackBerry at the time, I had a BlackBerry, it died, and I didn't know how to get back to my hotel. I was staying at a Howard Johnson, probably pretty close to where I think UCLA or something like that is. Anyway, it was pretty far away, and I had my silver jacket on, and this kid comes up to me, and I was nervous because, again, man, I don't know, like the bar, like people warned me about Oakland, and I stand out like a sore thumb. Like, let's just be honest, right? I got a silver suit jacket, Monday Night Football, riding the bar, and I'm looking at all these signs, and I clearly look like I don't belong there. And this kid walked up to me, tapped me on the shoulder, and I was like, oh, shit, like what's going to happen here? And I think a lot of people think like Raider fans are just these, big bad dudes that are just like not good people. And I was nervous about it. So anyway, this kid's like, hey, man, I watched the show. Love what you do. And then him and I were talking a little bit. And he said, oh, I'll take you back to that Howard Johnson. I know how to get there. And he literally walked me back to the hotel. We dapped up. And I haven't talked to him since. But I still say to this day, if that kid did not help me get home, there's a good chance I'm still riding on that BART because I don't know if I was at midnight. Dude, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and my phone was dead, and I had nowhere to go, and I was totally hopeless. And just by the kindness of his heart, he probably, I don't know how far out of the way he went, but I mean the walk off the BART was honestly like 15 to 20 minutes, like to the hotel, and it was amazing, man. It really was.
That's
I bet you he'll never forget that moment either, bro. Because he's like, I met Mitch Renz on the BART. That's crazy.
Maybe shit. He probably tells a different story. He's like, I was gonna rob him, and then I realized like it's just really nice of a guy to do that.
All right, real quick, we got a super shout out to our guy, God Family, and Raiders for Life. What's good, Raider Nation Familia? Mitch Renz, great to see you. Spreading the Raider love all to your YouTube channels. Trade for Ramsey and sign Simmons. There you go. Shout out to our guy. Salute, brother.
Hey, but we appreciate you for joining us today, man. You we only said an hour, but here we are, an hour 30 later.
Alex just got home. She just poked her head in, so I was like, all right, man, it's
perfect timing. Perfect timing.
You know what I mean? My baby started crying just now, so here we go. We straight.
Perfect.
Yes. Hey, man, we want to go ahead and again thank you for pulling up with us and chopping up with us on a Saturday morning. We know you're a very busy guy, especially getting ready and planning for a wedding. It's a tall order, man. But again, we appreciate you. Just making some time for us and pulling up and chopping it up. Especially right after this draft. I think this is probably the best timing we can have, and looking at this team moving forward in the future, now that we have more pieces added to our team, and hopefully we get to see a great season up ahead. But thank you, Matt, for pulling up for sure, 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
But we're about to go ahead and get up out of here, guys. Again, we appreciate everyone pulling up. Over 150 people in the building. Again, make sure if you guys haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button on both channels. It does help to go ahead and support the shows. If you guys really want to go ahead and help to keep the lights on, go ahead and become a member today. I have the link pinned up down below in the chat. Make sure you guys become a member. We do have I do member only chats and videos just for you guys. Got more content dropping soon since I'm doing this now full time. I'm taking care of my kids. So make sure you guys become a member. We have a lot of good stuff coming up. But that is it for us. Again, thank you guys for pulling up. And we'll see you guys next Saturday, same time, same place. We do have a special guest next week. We have Go Power Raider will be in the building. Okay. We keep doing it. I'm telling you,
we stacking them.
We're stacking it. we come with Metro Renz. We coming up with Power Raider, man. I got my guy in the building. He'll be with us next Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific for sure. So again, appreciate everyone pulling up. Make sure you guys turn on notifications. And,
turn on them buttons, man. Till then, man, y'all see us next week. Appreciate to the GOAT, Mitchell Renz, man. Once again.
Yes, sir.
Peace
And
out,
yes, sir. Peace out. Remember, just Raiders, baby.
bye.
Appreciate you, God. Chris, protect the shield.
Good morning, brother. How you doing?
Hey,
What up, Lo? What is good? What is none other than our guy?